Hello and welcome to the Switchrpg podcast. I am one of your hosts, Gio, and I'm joined, as always, by just Jonny. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great. How are you doing?
We're doing okay. We're doing all right. If this is your first time listening to the show, this is the show from Switchrpg.com where we bring you the latest and the greatest of Nintendo Switch RPG news. Obviously, it's in the title, right? This week, we had a lot of new game announcements, so the majority of this episode will probably be dedicated to that, but we got some news in here. Don't you worry about a thing. And then, yeah, what are you playing, Jonny? What are you playing? I'm looking.
Oh man.
Okay, I am looking at the show notes. It's like a paragraph long.
Yeah, there's a lot. First, so I finished some games.
Okay.
All right. So as I mentioned last time, I finished Final Fantasy VII Remake. All right, and I kind of said a lot of stuff there. So I'll just kind of continue off of what I said before. So if you want to get my full gist, then go back to what I said, last episode about Final Fantasy VII. I will now just talk about. I'm not going to say what the ending was, but I will say, the ending has actually caused my opinion of the game to drop.
Oh, what?
My end sort of final score. I think we were like, I said I was like low 8s or something like that. I'm now a high 7s.
What? How does that change?
The ending. That's how. Because I actually beat the game.
Okay.
And what they did for the ending was completely unnecessary and ruins the story in a dramatic way. It showed no sign of restraint from the developer side. It felt entirely like fan service, and kind of it ruins stuff. And you kind of realize, like, hey, it's very clear that this was meant to be more. There should have been more to this game, right? It's not a holistic case closed story whatsoever.
I mean the game itself is episodic, so yeah.
Right. I totally get it. Right. This I forgot if they classified it as part 1 or chapter 1 or whatever. It might have been called part 1, remake part 1 or whatever, whatever it's called. But I get that. But because of that ending, it dampened things. And look, it's very high 7s. Very high 7s. That could kind of be argued to like low 8s, but yeah, that ending is a major. That's one of the worst parts of the game. Just how they handled it.
Wow.
I'm not saying the execution was bad, but the fact that the design, the fact that they inserted that in there, was a very bad idea.
All right, now I gotta see what Metacritic has, and the user score is an 8. The Metacritic is an 87.
Yep.
So I mean,
I'm not too far. I'm not going beyond 10 points.
I mean, no, you're not going beyond 10 points, but it could just be that you value certain things over other things,
quality.
or fan service. Maybe that's something that really
I never played the original, so I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Final Fantasy. I appreciate some Final Fantasy games.
I'm not saying maybe. Well, you did mention fan service. Maybe there was fan service in there, and that's
it is.
Right.
But I am aware of it, right? So I had lengthy discussions with my brother. Now my brother is a huge Final Fantasy fan, and one of his favorites is Final Fantasy VII. So this was like lots of back and forth discussion. I've had like hour-long discussions or multi-hour-long discussions with my brother because he beat it and then I beat it, and then we talked about it. And yeah, they messed up. They messed up hard. But don't forget, I appreciate quality, and there are quality issues in this game. As I mentioned before, right? There's some segments where animations are like they're stilted or they are on hold. You have to like wait 5 seconds before something actually triggers or happens.
Okay.
It's not a fully polished game. So there's some quality issues there. I also mentioned like camera issues and stuff like that. Anyway, that's my last little tidbit on Final Fantasy VII Remake. It hasn't soured things so much that I wouldn't play part 2. So I will say that.
Good.
And I'm hoping that part 2 is going to be a whole lot better.
Yeah, maybe they'll improve upon some of the issues you had, like your camera controls, and whatever the animations going on.
Yeah.
There.
I just don't know where they're gonna go with the story because they did some stupid stuff. They did some stupid stuff. All right. So I finally finished Tactics Ogre. Let us cling together. Oh man.
Well, the last time we talked, I thought you were like halfway through.
No, I was almost done last time we talked, but
Okay.
almost done on a game that took me 160 hours to complete.
That's insane.
So Fire Emblem Three Houses length. That look, this was me playing, so if it was like Geo, it'd only be like 80 or 100 hours, but for me, it took 160.
And
Whatever.
and were you like doing a completionist type of run, a min max type of run? Is that what happened there, or
So they have lots of classes and lots of creatures and monsters that you can collect and get, and each one, and some monsters have multiple classes. So like humans have many different classes, and then there's special classes that you can eventually unlock by doing side quests and stuff like that. So there's a whole lot of stuff. If I had to guess, there's probably like 50 different classes in this
wow?
across like all the humans and all the different monsters and creatures and other denizens that you can get. There's a lot in
Wow.
each one. When you level them up, you level up everything of that class. So if you level up warrior, anyone that changes into a warrior, any character that becomes a warrior, is going to start at whatever level your warrior is at. So
That's actually
that's nice.
that
That's a
is
huge
really nice.
improvement.
Yeah.
But they have so many different classes, and all the different classes are, distinct. They have their own. They have a very good flavor to them.
Okay.
So because of that, I kind of wanted to like collect them all and level them all up.
Which is a pretty daunting task. It sounds
It
like.
is, and
Yeah.
then I realized that, and then I was like, okay, all right, I should probably finish this game. So I did.
So
It.
you could easily play that for 200 plus hours.
I would probably say like 300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane.
But that's just a testament for how much content they inserted in here. If you were to actually go through just the storyline stuff, yeah, it would be less than 100 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It would be like a very lengthy but good, lengthy, awesome RPG romp experience. And I will say this: if so, here's a couple of caveats or a couple of little tidbits, special notes. If I would have played this game sooner, this would have been on the best RPGs of the decade. Because this is a remake of the Super Nintendo game.
Mm-hmm.
So this came out in 2011. This would have been in the best of the decade. This would have been most certainly in the top 10 and might have hit the top 5.
Wow.
Because this is the best RPG storyline the best video game story I've ever played. And
Coming from
that
you, that's pretty high praise actually.
yeah, the best story. Like not even close. There isn't another video game storyline that even comes close to this.
Wow.
It's just so well thought out, so intriguing. It is so it is. All right, so you're a Game of Thrones fan.
I do appreciate the Game of Thrones seasons 1 through 5, maybe 6.
Yep. All right, I'm a Game of Thrones fan. Right? I understand Game of Thrones. Season 6 and 7 a little wonky, but overall, right? Game of Thrones is the best TV writing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And most people would agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Game of Thrones of video games. Not only that, but it is literally Game of Thrones. The storyline is Game of Thrones.
I remember you kind of just telling me some story beats and yeah, I would have to agree.
Yeah, this game, the original game, came out before Game of Thrones, the book. The
Mm-hmm.
first book came out.
Right.
So I don't know, maybe George R. Martin kind of played this game and then wrote Game of Thrones as a result.
He got his Super Nintendo out and he's like, "Wow, this is really cool."
Yeah. Either way, this is by far the best video game storyline. If we ever make a list, wink, uh, of best RPG storylines, this will be my number one.
Well,
Landslide.
well, I mean, you're ruining it. We
Well,
can't do it now.
well, I'd have to be argued against. I'm sure you'd argue against that, but we'll see what happens. Either way, this is most likely my number one. I already said it's the best video game, not even RPG, just video game story I've ever played.
Yeah.
So it is so good. The writing's excellent, the characters are excellent, just absolutely phenomenal. Now, that isn't to say that this isn't an absolutely amazing, perfect game. That's not to say that.
Okay.
It is a very flawed masterpiece, and that's unfortunate. There are balance issues with this game that could have used a bit more finesse. There are the crafting system unnecessary. I like the crafting system, other than the randomness. So you could like you're building together lots and lots of different ingredients. By the way, game developers, don't do this ever. Don't
Don't do what?
Don't do this. It takes, you take like iron ore, you then combine it, you then craft it into an iron bar. 100% chance, so that's cool. You then take that iron bar and mix it with, I think, something else, some other material, in order to craft steel. 95% chance to fail. Or 95% chance to succeed. Cool. I'm okay with that. 5% chance to fail. Whatever. But I'm not saying that's cool. It should always be 100%.
I feel like it should be, yeah.
And then you take that steel, and they have to combine. You have to take that steel, some other thing you have to combine a bunch of stuff with, and some other thing. And those three things that have some random percentiles to fail on, then can be combined together to make some +1 gear, which is awesome. That's what you want. But that has a huge percentage to fail.
Oh.
Sometimes 50% chance to fail.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
So, developers, for the future, never ever do percentile-based failure rates for crafting. It's awful. It causes reloading a save. Thankfully, I played this on the best platform possible, which is an emulator, which has save states.
Yep.
So because of save states, it actually resolves a lot of the issues that reviewers have had, and that I can easily identify as being a clear-cut issue with the main game, because save states resolve that. So I would say to anyone to play this, I would not recommend playing on the PSP, but if you do, don't bother with the crafting system, and definitely don't try to do grinding unless you absolutely want to grind as much as possible. Just get a core team of 12 individuals and treat that as your main level up team and nothing else. Just level up that core team, and you'll have a blast, and don't worry too much about the crafting system. For everyone else, play on an emulator, so that way in save states before crafting, and you're going to have an excellent time.
It's also worth noting you have a copy of this, like a legit. You have 2 copies of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 copies. So just wanted to mention that, like, hey, all right, play on an emulator if you own the game.
Right.
Right. Obviously, you should own the game. So there's that. And playing on the emulator is only there for the sake of getting over these silly restrictions and type E stuff. So that's the only reason why I recommend it.
Okay.
So Tactics Ogre, Let Us Cling Together. I'm not sure if I'm going to put it as my number one Ogre series game ever, but it actually might top Ogre Battle 64, just because this story was so excellent. And by the way, like, this is the best iteration of Final Fantasy Tactics combat, which started with the original Tactics Ogre. But this is the accumulation of what was expanded on in Final Fantasy Tactics, expanded on in Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, Advance 2, and the remake for Final Fantasy Tactics. This came out after all of that. So it has the same members, or most of the same members. So this is the accumulation of all those things. It is refinement and excellence to the nth degree. You will not find a game with with this much love, absolute love put into it. Just love.
Who published this? Was it Square?
Square.
Yeah. Okay.
Square bought when the company, I think it was Quest, they were the Ogre Battle people. Square bought them out and dismantled the team. So Square now owns the Ogre Battle Saga franchise. So and this is the last game of that franchise to release. Last new iteration of a game to release. So it's just incredible. And also, I forgot to mention Tactics Ogre, Holy Knight of Lotus. Absolutely incredible. I doubt there's going to be another video game story that's going to top this. And by the way, it has branching paths in a significant way.
That's crazy. So your decisions matter.
Yeah. All right, so those are the games that I beat. Working on, I am actually very close to the end of Bioshock Remastered.
So Bioshock 1, is that correct?
1, yeah. I have the collection, and I'm probably gonna skip 2, but I definitely want to play Infinite. And Bioshock Remastered, being as far in as I am, I actually probably could have beat it today. I'm well past a point that most people are well aware of. I've been saving the little sisters, so people know where I'm at. I'm past that point, and it's an excellent game. Actually, the story was, because this is another game that gets a lot of praise for story, and it was like and then they did the little twist part, and that actually like made the story like, hey, okay, yeah, got it, awesome, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that came before that was a lot of content,
right?
And it finally it made you realize like, aha, that context, I see.
Yeah.
So now I can kind of recognize, yeah, all right, this is actually a pretty good story going on here. The world is I don't really care too much about that underwater city stuff. It's all right. There's nothing about it that's like truly fantastical. I do like it more than System Shock.
The world.
Yeah, the world.
Yeah.
I do like this world more than System Shock 2's world, but I don't like either of those more than Bioshock Infinite's world, because I played through like half of Infinite. I never finished it on PS3.
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm really interested in Infinite's world. I've never played it. I've just seen videos of it, and that is like the only one I'm really kind of interested in getting. It just feels vastly different, right, than the other ones.
Yeah, and Bioshock. Now that I'm well acquainted with what it actually is, it is System Shock 2, slightly watered down. Ha ha ha. Wink wink. Pun intended.
Dude, you were full of puns today.
Right. So System Shock 2, legit, no questions asked, RPG. Bioshock is so close to being an RPG. It could be. It's very linear. That's probably the part that's holding it back from being a RPG experience. It's very close though.
Yeah.
There is lots of character development. Your experience is is what you do with the little sister. You get the Atom juice.
Yeah.
Whatever that red juice is, Atom. And then you can upgrade your character, and then there's other ways to like upgrade your character, and there's other ways to get like damage stat boosts and stuff like that, and you can also like get enhancements to your weapons, and there's like loadouts that you can do with certain abilities, and there's a whole lot of awesome stuff, and it is legit System Shock 2. They pretty much ripped everything they could from System Shock 2 and just rethemed it and did some simplification of some mechanics, and definitely better, more refined shooter mechanics, because the shooting mechanics in System Shock 2 were not that good.
No.
But that's Bioshock 2 Remastered. It is awesome. Very awesome game. Glad I picked up the collection. And I just hope that Infinite is gonna hold up as well, and I'm almost certain it will. 2, I don't even care about. And just between what I know of Infinite and what I have almost finished on Bioshock Remastered, the collection is worth it.
It is.
By a lot. It's a very good romp.
What are they asking for? Do you remember?
I think it was 50 for the collection.
That's it sounds like actually a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then there was I played a little bit of some more Shovel Knight treasure trove stuff. I'm very close to the end on Spectre Knight, so very close to the end of that. And then I played a couple of demos so Steam did its little summer game dev celebration, whatever it's called. And a lot of those games pretty much all of them have demos.
Yeah.
And a lot of these games are going to be coming to Switch or are almost on Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And the demos that I have played so far is Fae Tactics.
Yep.
That's
your Final Fantasy Tactics right there.
Tactics Ogre style game. So after playing it, now I got a better grasp as to the direction that they're going at. It is basically the Wargroove.
Mm-hmm.
Wargroove kind of took the Advance Wars thing. It's pretty much a carbon copy of Advance Wars, but there were some like intuitive. I like the crit system of Wargroove. It was very intuitive, right? And slightly like bubblegummy in a good way, like good bubblegum, like this is very chewy and I like the chew of this, right? Type thing. Right. So that was Wargroove, and they have that there in a strong degree on Fae Tactics. Fae Tactics is a huge simplification of a very complex battle system that is Final Fantasy Tactics, and especially Tactics Ogre. It does away with a lot of the options that you have available. For example, you can't do an action and then move. It's always action first, then move. And it's always those two things with a caveat that your action can target your own ally, and that changes the context of what you are doing. So they take away things like you can't attack your own allies, because when you're targeting your own ally, it's generally to cast some sort of buff or do some sort of enhancement, heal, whatever it may be, thing to them. And there are certain things like there's a lot of what they do is they put a lot of passives onto the unit that cause major bonuses, dependent situational bonuses. So, for example, there was like this weird catfishy, I don't know, it was like this weird floundering birdfish thing. And if it's in the water terrain, it gets a substantial bonus to its attack.
Makes sense, right?
Right. And it does the simplification, but still adds its own degree of unique take on this tried and true franchise, and I like it. It's very bubblegum. It's like taking what the tactics games are usually like, very dense, very complex, very nuanced style games. It takes that same thing, but makes it more bubblegum and accessible. There's a good word, accessible. This is a very accessible tactics, and I like that. And the artwork's good too.
Yeah, it's the sprite work looks really good. Everything looks really good.
Yeah, so I definitely keep an eye out for Fae Tactics. I have my eye on that one. Eyes on you. Very good stuff. Then I played the Iron Oath, which is another tactics game, but it's like it is a roguelike tactics. And what they are doing there,
I don't know if I like that.
Well, so the tactics part is not roguelike. Think of it more like Darkest Dungeon. But the combat happens, there's spatial elements they have to worry about in combat. And it takes place on a hex instead of a grid.
Okay.
And a big thing with that is your action bar is massive. You have like 8, or at least in the demo, there was like 8 or 9 different abilities they had access. So you had a lot of options available to you. So there's a way more tactical things to be aware of. and it's definitely hard and nuanced. So it's got that going for it. It's still a long ways away. They have a lot of work to do on it because there are some not good UI. There's a lack of intuitive UI. For example, abilities costed something called spirit, and the game didn't even tell me what spirit was, and I couldn't find a place to figure out where my spirit amount was. So there was stuff like that. So weird stuff like that. So there's still a whole lot more polish to go there. And then after I finished it, they kind of tell you about more stuff that's going on with that game, what they have planned. Wow, it is going to be a very ambitious game. Ambitious to the point where the world is going to be randomly generated. The settlements you can interact with them and make very different decisions on how you interact with them and explore throughout the world, and that will impact not only your group and your party members will age and they will die and they can have offspring, and you can play this game through multiple generations of characters.
There was actually an MMO that was gonna do the same thing. Can't remember what it was, and it totally failed. It totally bombed. There just wasn't enough money to keep this MMO afloat, or just the full development of it. Oh man, what I don't remember what it was, but I mean, this game is it's a kickstarted game, right? Is it Iron Oath?
The Iron Oath.
The
So it's very ambitious what they're going for, and I like that. I like the fact that it's ambitious. I was kind of middling with what I played in the demo up until I ended the demo. Then they displayed a whole bunch of like bullet points of like, hey, here's what we have planned. And I'm like, oh.
Wow, yeah.
That's interesting. And don't get me wrong, those hugely ambitious stuff, that happens on a point and click map. So you're not like going into a town and exploring it. There might be like a static screen for that, or maybe a couple of screens for that, but it's not very immersive, right? This is still a pixely sprite style game, right?
Yeah.
So there is some degree of abstractness, so you don't have to don't be too overloaded on that. But when you're going dungeon delving, you make choices on the paths you go, and everything that you're doing every time you go into combat, and turns that happen in combat, and every time you're navigating through a dungeon, it costs time. So that's the cost to all the decisions you're making is time, and that time, as I mentioned before, is going to have, which I didn't realize, but in the final game, it's going to have a big impact on things, because you could play the game for like 100+ years, and that's going to cause like lots of crazy stuff to happen. So that's exciting.
Well, that's kind of interesting. That sort of mechanic.
I played Eldest Souls.
Oh, that's the boss rush game, right?
It is a boss rush game. It was announced for Switch maybe a couple weeks ago or something like that. And it is the Titan Souls. I don't think it's made by the same people, but it's pretty much Titan Souls, which is another boss fight game, except Titan Souls, you only had a one-shot arrow. And in Eldest Dungeon, there is multiple skill trees that you have with your character, and you're fighting, I think you're going to be fighting a whole lot of bosses, because that skill tree is huge, and every time I kill the boss, you get a skill point.
Was it a skill tree or a skill like grid, like Path of Exile?
Skill trees.
Okay, all right.
Multiple skill trees. It was like you could there was like a one for sword, one for shield, and one for arrow or wings. Maybe it was like a sword with wings or an arrow with wings, something like that. It was like wings. Okay. So maybe that was like a utility tree. I'm not sure. When I played it, I didn't acquire any new items, right? You're not getting gear. I didn't get a better sword or anything like that. I just got like a skill point after killing the boss. So it's the kind of game where your skill points are going to give you new abilities, and that's kind of it. Yeah. At least that's the general gist that I got. It seems like there could be a crafting system in there as well. I'm not too sure, because it's just a demo. It's hard. It's very hard. Very hard. There is this very cool charge mechanic, but
use it sparingly.
It's the kind of game where it's like, get good, man. Yeah. Get good. Unfortunately, the pacing is very first boss. It's like, get good.
Yeah, that's tough.
Get good.
But I mean, Dark Souls kind of does
Extremely
that too, right?
tough. Extremely tough. I quit on the second boss, and I gave the second boss a lot of run throughs, but it was just ridiculous because they threw the you beat the first phase, here's the second phase, and everything's crazy, and I'm like and the health pools of the boss are too high,
All right, so
so
some balance issues there.
some balance issues, but it's in demo, so this is one I am keeping an eye out for.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah. But it kind of looks good. It plays pretty good. But there was one point where I kind of quit, and I was like just frustrated, and until I realized the charge mechanic they have to do. You hold the attack button in, and then you let go at a certain time, and then you'll rush and swing. And if you land that swing, you get this buff, this bloodlust buff, and that buff is super important. That's the entire game mechanic is about that buff. And I didn't realize that, and I almost quit the game because the game didn't tell you about it, how it works. And then I figured out how it worked, and I was like, oh, okay, all right. This is much better now.
Right.
So keep that in mind. And then the last game that I played, also announced for Switch, called Vigil: The Longest Night.
What is that?
It is a Souls-like side scroll. It's kind of like
Salt and
Salt
Sanctuary.
and Sanctuary.
Oh.
Yes.
Ugh.
Very much like Salt and Sanctuary. Better looking. It's using pre-rendered 3D graphics.
Mhm.
Maybe some degree of painterly art. It's at some moments it is pretty good looking. Pretty good looking. Like some of the backgrounds are animated and stuff like that, and there's some degree of interesting animations going on. And some characters and some bosses are big, overly, cool looking things. So visually looks good. Animation wise, it's
It's
clunky
kind of got
because
like the marionette type of look and feel
yeah,
with the animation, right?
it it's early, right? It's early in development. I don't know how early in development. I hope they don't release it in the state that I played it.
Coming
The
2020.
yeah, they need at least late 2021 on this. I hope they take this game to 2021 because it has a lot of promise. This is Bloodborne. So if Salt and Sanctuary was the Dark Souls, 2D side scroll Dark Souls, this is the Bloodborne version of it. But also it could kind of categorize as Souls like,
Yeah.
Dark Soulsy. But it's awesome. I was digging it. I'm digging the vibe that it's getting. When you level up, you get skill points. You got multiple skill trees. You have skill tree for each weapon, and then you have like a universal skill tree. And each one changes the mechanics fairly well. And you get a point every single time you level up, so that's cool. There's a crafting system, so that's cool. You can enchant your weapons with stuff. That's cool. There's a world to explore. There's hidden secrets. That's cool. You got a dodge that you can do in combat, and you can block in combat. Or actually, depending on the weapon that you're using, you could do different stuff in combat, like block or parry or counter. Or if you're using, I got a halberd that was insane on damage, and you can just do a charge attack to do like a really strong attack.
Hmm.
There's certainly balance stuff that needs to be done. They have the poise system in here as well. So if your weapon does enough poise damage, you can eventually cause the enemy to get stunned,
Oh, nice.
right? And just like in Dark Souls, uh, if your own poise is high enough, you can continue to follow through with your attack even though you're getting hit, right? It reduces your flinching.
Right.
So it's got that stuff in there as well. So there's a lot of promise. There's a stamina system in this, but they changed the stamina system to where you can deplete your entire stamina and continue attacking, but then you go into a different state called exhausted, and you're building up an exhaust meter. But while you're in the exhausted state, you're doing half damage.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Wait.
if you build up your exhaust meter all the way, then you're huffing and puffing. You can't do anything
Oh,
for a
wow.
few seconds.
I like that idea where you can continue to attack, but there's definitely a drawback to it, right?
There's a drawback to it. Yeah, so it's cool. It's nuanced. I just hope they polish the combat and the controls. The way the character feels clunky. The enemies are some of them are a little slow. a little clunky. The hit detection, not accurate, clunky. This is all like stuff that you fix on polish. So they need to do lots of polish on this game. It needs it. It needs to be very refined because they got the core mechanics of something that could be great. They just need to refine a lot. Polish it like crazy. Get it to the level that Souls-like fans expect it to be.
Well, it kind of has to be, right. Your hit detection boxes need to be there because it's all, with Dark Souls, it's all about like the minutia, like the little tiny movements. I mean, it's obviously different. We're on a 2D plane here, whereas Dark Souls is a 3D plane. But all of that needs to kind of just work together. Otherwise, it just doesn't work, right?
Yeah. Well, it works. It just doesn't feel right.
Right, exactly.
It's the feel part that they really need to land super hard. For example, jump. The jump on this, the physics on it, are ridiculous. Ridiculous. It's just like, what? It's like you jump and it's like kind of okay, and then after you hit your peak, you sink down like a rock.
Like really fast.
Like the acceleration is like opposite. It's like kind of like fast, slow, and then fast all the way down. No slowness, no slow build up.
It's got to be the same velocity in both directions, right?
Well, it's
unless you're attacked. Right.
Not velocity, acceleration.
But they has to be the same. Either way, whether it's fast in the beginning and then slow, and then there has to be the same ratio.
Well, normal physics is it's fast at the beginning, and then when you reach your peak of the jump, you're at your slowest. You hit acceleration 0 at a certain axis, like the Y.
Then your acceleration is slow.
Then it accelerates down again, and your velocity starts off slow, but then your velocity builds up until you land. Right? It doesn't have that. It's like some weird, crazy child that belongs imprisoned at an orphanage somewhere.
Unless you're jumping and then there's a special attack where you're dive bombing or something. But that's a totally different situation.
Some unique animation that's deliberately triggered by the player, right? Then there's obviously caveats to that. But as a normal jump, it just doesn't feel right. And then there's clunkiness when they have paths, so they can have a path continue left right, and then a set of stairs that you can optionally take, and you have to angle the movement stick diagonally to go down it.
Oh yeah.
So that's faulty. They need to polish that as well. There's a lot of stuff that they need to polish, but lots of promise. Thumbs up there, keeping an eye out on you. But if they release it this year and they don't fix all of those things, I'm gonna get it. No way. I am out.
Hey, guess what?
What?
Is it my turn or no?
There's something I haven't been working on.
Oh, what's that?
Do you want me to say it?
Yeah, sure.
I haven't been eating.
Why? This is a Jonny thing, right?
This is a me thing, yeah. This is twice a year. I don't eat for 7 days.
That's insane.
And by don't eat, I mean I literally don't eat anything. I drink water, and that's it.
I don't even know how you could do that. To be honest with you, if I don't think about food for 5 minutes, it's a problem.
Yeah. So it's called fasting, or a water fast. So that's what I've been doing, and I'm on day. I just finished day 5, so I'm starting day 6. And tomorrow is a party, and there's all sorts of my family's been cooking so much delicious food. It smells absolutely crazy. It's terrible. I feel so terrible that I can't eat, knowing that I can't eat any of that delicious stuff.
You can do it.
I'll get through it.
You can eat. Just eat.
I'm gonna eat on Monday. Monday is when I'm gonna break my fast.
Well, you should have planned that a little bit better.
I should have. I was supposed to do it sooner, but I was like, I'll delay it. Whatever. I like eating.
Now, why do you do this?
Oh, and you can tell that I'm fasting because my tongue will be white.
That's disgusting.
So That's the detoxing that happens on the tongue. You get a white tongue. I do this for health reasons. That's why I fast. So
Okay.
detoxing is not the main reason. It's a nice plus. Autophagy. In case you're wondering, you can Google that. Lots of science on that. Autophagy is the main reason why I do it. I don't need to lose weight, but if I were to lose weight, fasting would be excellent to do that. I don't recommend it for losing weight. There's better ways or safer ways. But autophagy is the main reason why I do it.
Okay. People, y'all have homework.
Yes. So, Gio.
What have I been playing? You may ask. I tried. You've been on top of your game. Now, my list pales in comparison to yours. I've been playing so few games. It's been a tough week for me to playing games. Just I've been working a lot more. So it's just been very tired and grouchy lately. So I haven't been playing many games. I'm still kind of just playing the Outer Worlds, and I'm okay with it looking as hideous as it does. The gameplay is there.
You were defending the hideousness.
I'm okay with it looking the way. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what though. I mean, yes, there are like missing textures. Like if you were to compare these side by side, there are trees missing. Like one world on the Xbox looks kind of lived in. There is lush grass and everything. Then you go to the Switch side of things, and it's missing a lot of that. It looks like a wasteland. Like
that's not just textures. That's objects.
Objects, models, all that stuff. But it's also missing textures as well. You can literally be like right up on the sign and not be able to read that sign. But if you wait long enough, sometimes that texture will pop in.
Sometimes
it won't.
What about frame rate? You defended the frame rate.
I've had no issues with frame rate. I've seen other people have issues with frame rate. Not to say that it doesn't happen. I have not experienced it. I do think there's something to the different version of the Switch I have. It's running at a different frequency or something. I have a second version, so I think there's something to that. I really do.
Maybe they're utilizing boost mode.
I don't know what it is, but I think there's something to it. I've also seen people run into just kind of in the open world area, run into kind of like a spinning like loading thing. Right in the game will freeze and then that load thing will show up. I have never experienced it. I've recorded my entire gameplay. You'll see I've never experienced it. The loading screens can be quite lengthy, 45 seconds to a minute on some of them. In the videos, I do cut them out because I don't want people to be just sitting there for a minute. It's just a waste of time. I don't want to waste your times, so I don't want to waste my time either. So loading screens can be quite long. The one immersion breaking kind of really that could set people off, and I've seen this in other people's gameplays as well, where you'll be running, and I've only seen it when you're running. When you're running into an area, you think it's clear, then all of a sudden enemies spawn in your location. It can be a problem because sometimes those enemies are of a higher level and they will just annihilate you, party wipe, start over.
Surprise, you're dead.
Yeah, I've actually run into that a few times. I think 2 or 3 times. I've played for maybe 10, 15 hours. But again, that's when you're running. So when you're running, you're not allowing the game objects. You're not allowing them to load, right? So they load right when you're there. And it always happens with me because I'm the way I'm playing my character. I'm kind of sniping and sneaking along. Then all of a sudden that will happen. But yeah, that can be a problem. Big problem.
Yeah, it's got data streaming issues galore. Right. Just the fact that it's struggling with textures, objects, and then actual enemies.
Yeah.
That's a streaming bottleneck like crazy.
But it's playable. It's playable. I will say it's not the best. I think it's better played on a different console
or PC.
Yeah.
How far in are you?
I'm about 10, 15 hours right now.
That kind of doesn't mean anything. Where are you?
I'm on Monarch.
Okay, so you're pretty far in. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're like halfway.
Yeah, I'm about halfway done.
Yeah. Okay. Did you just get on Monarch?
I'm about to get off of Monarch.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you're past halfway.
I don't know. I don't know where I'm at. I do, but
Oh,
I don't.
potentially past halfway. Okay, cool. And so now that you're going through this game a second time, I'm asking a question because I played and beat it. I didn't get the impression that this was a game worth playing more than once.
It is not, because it makes you feel like you have a lot of choice. And you kind of do in a sense, right? So you have a lot of these factions, right? So for example, on different worlds or planets, there are generally two sides, two factions in each of those, and you can negatively or positively affect each one of those.
Oh, just on the major worlds.
Yeah, on the major worlds, and yeah, I'm not going to go into side stories, side quest stuff, but yeah, in the major worlds, and that can help, or that can change how you progress through that world. I just don't know how it really affects the story though, because I think ultimately you're gonna do the same type of story beats.
Yeah, because it doesn't result in anything meaningful to your character or to the game world. It does change the end story, but it not in any meaningful or significant way.
Yeah, I'm trying to dance around what I really want to say, but yeah, that would be a good way to put that. Yeah.
Are you doing opposite decision making on these different takes
Not
that you can do
not
from your first
totally.
filter?
Yeah, not totally opposite. I am doing some things a little differently. Again, just because I'm playing through it again, I don't want to do everything the same. I mean, I am doing a different kind of character. This one's a more of a stealthy long gun approach, whereas before I've done was a kind of a in your face melee. So that already feels different. But yeah, there are some story beats where I'm thinking I'm changing things, but I don't really necessarily feel that though. So I don't know. Like I had mentioned, the ultimate way to play this, optimal would be PC world, and then you have your consoles. Other than Switch, the Switch is kind of, I don't know. I think it's passable. That's all I'll say. It's passable. It's all
Yeah.
right. And then I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles, not as much as I really, really want to, but I want to play this like all the time. And I think you were actually watching some of my videos and kind of
Oh, I
giving
have it. Every single one.
kind of giving me some tips. And here's the thing though, like when I'm playing along, right? Generally people are watching like the older videos and they're like, "Oh, you should do this. You should do this." I'm like, "I am now." So it's always like, as you're playing, you're kind of learning. And what I think is fun about like these Let's Play videos, like I'm learning this as you're seeing it, right? So it's I think it's you're seeing me kind of learn that entire process, whereas someone like you already knows like the end game and already knows the whole process. So yeah, just when you're learning, it can be, you discover those nuances, like, oh yeah, like I think you had mentioned, you need to like tell everybody or give the ability to everyone to damage those mechon, or else they're not going to do anything. But you learn like a lot of like little small details along the way.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely that. Like the more you play the game, the more you're gonna understand the combat system and appreciate all the nuances of the combat system.
Yeah.
And yeah. Do you understand the those little I think they call them battle shouts or combat shouts? So it's the prompts or the party shouts?
Yeah,
It's the
so
prompts
if
that come out when you hit the I think the B button or the A button.
yeah,
The
if you go near, yeah, you got the circle things that helps with your what the hell is it called? Party gauge? I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah, party gauge, and it helps with developing the relationship stuff, right? You
Right.
get the hearts.
Yep. And then that also helps with what the heck? I can't remember now. Helps with other things, combat wise.
It does, yeah. It can lead into, for example, if you you can open up combat by attacking an enemy and not even hitting that engage combat button.
Right.
You
Right.
could open up in combat by luring an enemy, right, with the lure ability to do a ranged pull. You could open up combat by just doing the combat engagement, right? There's multiple ways to engage in combat in the game.
Yep.
And a benefit of opening a combat with an ability, not hitting that engage button, especially against enemies that don't aggro on sight, is you can line yourself up perfectly behind them and basically get a sneak attack crit bonus.
Crit attack, yeah.
On them. Yeah, a critical attack on them by doing a backslash, whatever character you're using. I think all of them have something special that you can trigger in some way, and just open up with massive damage right up front. So
Right.
there's a lot of different ways on how you can just engage in combat. But if you do that initial button prompt, it's not obvious why that's important, but that it gives you that first little circle prompt closure thing. And that's important because that gives you a buff. Or at least it eventually gives you buffs.
Yeah, I think I forget what buff it is, but you do see it on when you see the characters, you'll see that whatever the buff is, arrow up. So yeah, you know there's something happening when you I guess you could preemptively get into combat, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And that becomes like a start of combat buff. And the buffs in the game, you'll come across them, you'll understand them more and more as you play, and you'll identify their significance the more you play with it.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say, and I've always said that I still feel the combat switching between the different attacks is very clunky.
It's the same as X.
I know that, but I think with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, it was a little more intuitive. And the reason why I say that is because I could freely roam around an enemy in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and continue to do whatever side attack, back attack, any of those attacks with my face buttons.
Nope.
Yes, you could.
Nope.
I didn't have to stop.
You stop auto-attacking when you move.
No, that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say...
I know what you're trying to say. Your arts. We only had 3 arts.
Yeah, but still, I mean, what's annoying is that, like, I'm trying to not strafe an enemy, but I want to do a side attack, and then I want to make my way around to the back of the character, and then prompt a back attack. Yeah. I want to kind of just keep my movement around, and it's kind of... You have to take my finger off the joystick and move left or right to to point out what I want.
I understand that, and look, I'm in agreement with you, except for the fact that this game gives you way more combat options. You're not dealing with 3 arts.
No, you're dealing with a lot more.
9 arts minimum per character.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
Well,
that is a lot of active at the same time, like
right.
Available to you. You have a smorgasbord of abilities.
But I know that, and that's what makes it so like kind of a pain, because like you'll be auto attacking, right, and then you'll do one attack, and then you got to shift all the way over, whether you go left or right, whatever. You got to go all the way over to that one, and then you got to go all the way over to this one.
Better organize your palette.
I guess so. If every fight was the same, I guess you could do that. Yeah.
Well, that's basically what you have to. Eventually, you'll start to realize, like, oh, I could be more efficient on moving from using one art to another. You'll recognize that, okay, when I use this one art, I know I'm going to use this other art. So
right.
Let's just group them together, right?
Okay.
So you can reorganize your arts.
Yep.
And they give you that for that very same reason. For that reason of, yes, it's nuanced to go from the leftmost art all the way over to the rightmost art. That sucks. I agree. Or
you can go the opposite way, like just to shift over to
you can rotate around.
Yeah.
But something dramatic like that, right? I totally get it. But then that incentivizes you to customize your art palette so that you could be more efficient, because that's part of the combat is also being able to activate your abilities, to be more skilled at activating your abilities, and part of that skill requires some degree of organization.
Yeah. Maybe some of it is that, but I mean, there are buttons that you're not using. Why not use the triggers for something like that? Why? Like, couldn't you
Yeah.
just do that?
Well, the triggers are used for camera, and the other one is used for party AI stuff.
Yeah, they could have been something, an option.
Well,
I don't know.
that
I don't really.
it,
Yeah, I don't know.
it's what so the LNR is for targeting, switching targets, which is important. You need to have that.
No, yeah, right. But that could
The
easily be the D-pad. Like switch that around. How often you're not changing enemy
the
targets.
D-pad is how you toggle the art palette.
Right, I know, but switch those up is what I'm saying. And then you have your callouts, whether you want to, I think it's the ZR. ZR and up will focus fire on an enemy. You can call off the dogs with ZR down or something. I don't know.
And ZL is for the camera controls, which is also very important to have.
Yeah, depending on, but it's situational. I think
It's
depending
situational.
on where you are. The art, choosing the art is every time. It's not situational at all. I don't know, but I mean that's my only gripe with it. And you're right. Maybe better organization will help a lot of that. And that's the first thing I'm gonna do when I boot that game up. I'm gonna be like, all right, what can I put here? What can I do?
Yeah, better organized palette. Maybe that'll most likely lead to a better play experience of the combat. But it's probably not going to solve your qualm, right?
No,
But
I still have to
sounds like your
do.
qualm is it's just a little bit of a nitpick.
That's really what it is, because ultimately the story's been really great. I love everything else about it. The music's awesome. Everything is excellent.
Where are you at this point?
Um, I just got. I'm about 10, 15 hours again, and I just rescued Juju from one of the metal face dudes, and what's his name came back. Oh shoot, what's his name? I can't remember his name.
Oh,
The original
Dunban?
Dunvan, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, and he just joined the party, and that's kind of where I stopped.
So you're about to enter the waste.
I don't know. I'm in the Bionis's groin area.
So you're in a cave area.
I'm in his loins. Yes.
Is it a cave?
No, not a cave yet. Wait,
All
no,
right, so
I was in a cave. I was in the Ether River area, and now I've come
with,
up
with the
from
glowing
there.
trees.
Not the glowing trees yet. I've seen pictures of those. I'm like, where the freaking hell are these trees? I want to see these damn trees. I haven't seen no glowing trees yet.
All right, so you're in the part where it's. I could have sworn it's a cave. It's like a cave area.
It may be a cave. I don't know.
It's short. It's short. That part's very short.
Yeah, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Cool. Awesome. That's.
I have like 100 more hours to go. I'll be all right. I'll be all right.
So the leg is kind of like the first major, very open world
Yeah.
environment. I mean, the knee or ankle or whatever is kind of big, but the leg is like. What did you think of that when you got to see like how big?
Yeah,
it
because
can go
and I did just that, right? So I'm kind of roaming around, and I don't know, I just kind of got a glimpse of something out of the corner of my eye, and I'm looking up, what the heck? And I just see the sword, that Bionis got killed by. I'm like, whoa! And I just kind of looking around, you can just kind of get the scope of everything, and you're seeing how like small you are compared to like these vast creatures that you're just roaming around on. It's awesome. Yeah. It's awesome.
Cool.
I love it.
I'm loving that you're loving it.
You're not gonna replay it, huh?
Videos. I'm your number one audience. Make more videos.
Nice. Hey, give me a thumbs up. All right.
I do.
Nice. All right.
Or a thumbs down if you badmouth the game.
Dude, don't be doing that. I got enough people like you. All right. All right, let's get on with the show. I haven't been playing too much. I'm kind of looking for something. So if you have any suggestions, hit me up with them. Nintendo Switch related though.
Paper Mario, 1,000 Year Door.
All right, Nintendo Switch related. Anyway, Bard's Tale Remastered coming to the Nintendo Switch. I think we mentioned this at one point that it was coming, and it's actually out right now, June 18th. I don't know if this is
out right now?
It's out right now, June 18th.
I just checked the store yesterday.
Okay.
It's weird because don't they usually release games on Thursday?
I don't know that has to be a thing. It also even when they say it's released June, say this one says June 18th, the time of day can be different. I don't know who sets that. I have no idea, but
Yeah.
I've seen variations in all of that. But Bard's Tale,
Oh,
action RPG, kind of quirky writing, I think, or yeah, I'll call it
it's
quirky writing.
comical. It's comedic.
It
Yeah.
it still looks like the older game, so it's really not. This game is not for me.
It's a dark humor medieval in a medieval fantasy world.
Mm-hmm.
So graphically, it looks very dated. It looks like the original Xbox still.
Yeah, it really does. I don't know, and I don't even know what they remastered, to be honest with you, because it still looks old.
Higher resolution. That's pretty much it. It
So
looks like.
so they made it to fit your format of a TV. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, it looks the same to me. I don't know if that's for me, but it's out now. All right. Then we have another game. We mentioned this game
Oh yeah.
a while ago, and you had said, "Look out for this game. I want this game." I don't know if you still want this game, but the game is 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, launching in September here for us in the West. I think they actually have a date on here. Did I see a date? September 8th.
Is it
Yep.
coming to the Switch?
Coming to the not now
It
you got
says
me.
PlayStation Store.
I thought I saw Switch.
That's the question mark I have. Maybe in
All
the
right.
trailer.
Well, let me read. This is from RP Gamer. Atlas today announced that Vanillaware's 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim will launch for PlayStation 4 in North America and Europe on September 8th. The game will be available physically and digitally. A physical $59.99 launch will include a bonus physical art book, while pre-orders on the PlayStation Store will receive a digital art book. I want to say, I'm not seeing it here in this article.
Yeah.
I want to say that I saw it somewhere, because otherwise I would not have put it in here, other than to say we told you so. Um,
It's like here's at least the icing on the cake, whatever. It's likely to come to Switch because Vanillaware and Atlas puts games on Nintendo consoles.
yeah,
So it might be PlayStation 4 first, but it's this is a game that can run on Switch, no questions asked. So because of that, and because of the success of the Switch, it's like in the nature that the developers already release games on Nintendo platforms, it's likely going to come to Switch probably sometime in 2021, if I had to guess.
yeah, it would obviously be later. Maybe there's some exclusivity there, and I'm not seeing. I'm kind of looking while you were talking. I'm not seeing any Nintendo Switch news on it, but I could have sworn that
It's not on the trailer either,
no.
so it's only the PlayStation 4 branding is on there.
Dang,
Yeah.
it's still a possibility though. Well, I guess we'll.
Hope.
Well, yeah, I know you hope. And I mean, this is what kind of game is it? It's like the if I had to say what it is, it would be could I safely describe it as Persona meets
No,
God? No,
not at all.
I'm thinking
It's
Persona because it's the like the
high school
characters are
teenagers.
yeah, high school teenager thing. Maybe that's just a tropey thing. I don't know.
I
But
would say
that
it's more like Evangelion, the RPG.
had I ever watched Evangelion, maybe I could say that.
Well, I'm not going to hold it up to the standard, the well-deserved standard that Evangelion has set. I'm not going to
Right.
hold it up to that, but it's riffing on that.
Hmm.
Whether or not it's that good, I doubt it because Evangelion's a masterpiece.
Yeah, maybe it is. You don't know.
Maybe it is. I'm hoping it is. I'm excited for it. It reviewed very well on Famitsu.
Yeah, I think it did. Was it a 9? I think it got a 9.
I think it did higher than 9.
Was it a
I'm gonna
9?
look that up.
A tenner? Or do they do decimals? I don't think I
They
didn't.
they do four scores,
Right.
1 to 10.
Okay. All right. You look that up. I will move on to the next new game announcements. Cataclysm announced. Developer Elder Games and publisher Head Up announced Cataclysm Shards of the Four, a card collecting RPG. The game is scheduled to release summer for PC via Steam. Announcement trailer can be viewed below. Another one I thought was Nintendo Switch. Gonna be on the Nintendo Switch, but apparently it's not here.
Yeah, not there. It might come to Switch, so it's something to keep an eye out for. But
Yeah,
yeah, not Switch.
I would definitely keep an eye out for it. It's essentially a turn-based card collecting RPG in kind of a medieval dark wizardy type of environment.
I would say more roguelike than RPG. Don't expect a big, grandiose adventure with card battling mechanics. Not like Bait and Kados. Don't expect something like that. Expect something more along the lines of yet another Slay the Spire type thing.
And it may in fact be, I don't know, I don't think we're thinking Slay the Spire. And the reason why I'm saying this, Cataclysm, a single player RPG I'm sorry, I read it wrong, without in-app purchases. So I'm wondering if this came from the mobile universe.
Maybe. By the way, that Famitsu score?
Yep.
9, 9,
Yep.
10, 10.
Oh wow.
Or I could confuse those numbers a little bit, but it is a total of 38 out of 40. So if you average that out, that's a 9.5.
9.5.
That's exceptional.
That's pretty good. Pretty dang good. All right, we're on a roll with these non-Switch RPGs, but I think we're getting back on track here with Chris Tales. Chris Tales launching in November. Publisher Modus.
You better hope.
No, I know. I know.
Okay, I see it. This is Switch. Yep.
I know this one's Switch. Publisher Modus Games and developers Dreams Incorporated and Sick have announced that Chris Tales will launch November 17th. That feels like a lifetime away right now. I don't know why. Time has like kind of stood still for me. The game will release for PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. Oh, and also, I'm sorry, the forgotten child, Google Stadia, with PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X versions to follow at a later date. In addition, the demo version available on Steam actually right now. So there's also a new updated mode that'll include new enemies and a the Coliseum battle mode.
I decided not to download the demo on that.
Why is that?
No.
No.
I don't know. It barely shows any gameplay.
Yeah, but that's what the demo doesn't show gameplay?
I'm talking the trailer and I mean the Steam store. Let me see if I can hit. Oh my goodness, that's loud. Oh, there we go. Whew, that scared me. Hey, why did you? You didn't hear that, did you?
No.
Okay, you're just saying that.
I didn't hear it.
Oh, all right, good. All right, now I can finally see some actual gameplay on some of the trailers in there. Man, it's a cool looking game though. It's cool.
I think so too. And what's really kind of cool is the battle mechanics. Like you have 3 different time eras in one battle. This is I am speaking about the right game, right? Don't.
You do have the 3 different time eras, but I didn't see that in the combat part of the trailer.
No. I know this from watching other gameplays.
Okay.
What?
You know what? Maybe I will eventually.
Okay, I keep muting it and it continues to just play really loud.
Oh, it does. You're right. It does have. I see they did show a segment of that now. So it does have that 3 different time zones. It kind of has like this triangular separation of the screen.
Right.
So yeah, all right, yeah, maybe Maybe I will actually download because I like the art style.
Yep, the art
It's
style is
different.
really cool.
Yeah, it's. I wouldn't say it's really cool.
I like it.
It's different, and that's what makes it cool.
Yeah, really cool. Say it.
I'm digging the art style. I
All
already
right,
said that.
all right, okay, all right, okay.
I'm just not gonna say it's cool because what's cool to me is like Tinkerell. That's cool art style.
But yeah, Chris Tales coming November 17th. Definitely if you're a Switch player, right, and you also have a Steam account or a PC that can handle this, get the demo. I think it'll play well. I still have yet to play it. I've seen some of the mechanics in play, and they look kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think I am going to yoink. I just did it. I am going to download that demo. I think the reason
Nice.
why I didn't download it was probably because it was a little bit too big. It was like almost 3 gigs for a demo, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of big.
Yeah, just uninstall it when you're done.
Well, that's what I've been doing with some demos, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll just do that.
All right, cool. Yeah, that is Chris Tales.
Yep.
And then here's my thing, right? I am really big into like horror movies. I love the horror genre. And then when you combine them with like RPG genres, that's my thing, man. I love it. I absolutely love it. Horror punk. I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
I'm with you.
You're with me. Nice.
I'm with you, man.
All right. Horror punk action RPG Morbid the 7 Acolytes releasing this year. Publisher Merge Games and developers still running have announced horror punk action RPG Morbid the 7 Acolytes. The game is being developed for PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, not the Nintendo Switch. and, and is being set to be released later this year. So we don't actually have a date other than later this year. Morbid, the 7 Acolyte, puts the players in control of the last striver of Dibram. I don't know. And who has trained their entire life to defeat the 7 Acolytes, terrorizing their kingdom. So, have you seen gameplay of this one?
Oh yeah.
All right. So it is a pixel art game. It's definitely an action RPG. It's got a lot of blood. I kind of like I think the animation is cool. I think some of the boss fights, I think the animation is kind of cool.
I think the artwork can be better, especially with character designs. And by character designs, I mean specifically the anime designs they're a bit incohesive. They're just big piles of flesh and guts, seemingly most of them. So they it could be better presented, better refined, and sort of be less kind of out of place. Also, they kind of all have the same type of black, blue, and gray, with some dark greenish type look to them, and there could be a bit more diversity in some degrees. But the combat, it's kind of like Secret Mana style combat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also has I don't know if you've seen the inventory system. It kind of has the grid-based inventory system, like say Resident Evil, Path of Exile has that. There's a few other games that have it, but
Yeah, definitely Diablo like style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think what's not helping the color palette is that the game overall just seems very. I know it's a dark game, but it just seems like there's a filter over it, and it just seems really, really too dark almost, where you can't get the contrasting colors or anything. And maybe they'll change that. I don't know.
Well, it's desaturated.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the brightness is down. And it looks like it's by choice, but they probably need to add more effects. There's no dynamic lighting. There is shadows but it's only on the characters. For example, I'm looking at a fence. There's no casted shadow from the fence, or at least none that I can easily see.
Yeah.
So there's definitely more things that they need to do. This is still in the works, so it could still very much improve at a point. But I think something like these enemy designs, it's gonna look like that. That's probably not gonna change.
Yep.
You don't get better looking enemy designs with more effects, right?
Right. No, I think dynamic lighting would make a world of difference in this game. Without without a doubt. But
you know what? I'm still on board. If this game plays well, even though these graphics are fine, right? They're serviceable.
mm-hmm.
They're not ideal, but they are definitely serviceable. I'm on board as long as the game plays really well.
Right. Moving on to more horror RPG stuff. Rogue Lords announced during the PC gaming show. Rogue Lords is an upcoming roguelike game with a turn-based party battle system. Publisher Nacon and developers Cyanide Studio and Liker Studio. The game is set in a version of the 17th century where mortals and other entities live side by side, and is set to be released later this fall for PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox, and the Nintendo Switch. You seem really excited about this one.
I'm digging it, man. It's awesome. It's kind of like Tim Burton meets
Darkest Dungeon?
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
I totally agree with that. Yeah, it's got the kind of like the elongated body form on the characters, but I mean, think Darkest Dungeon, right? Where they're a little marionettes, right? They're smaller, but then you elongate them, Tim Burtonize them, maybe, and then you have Rogue Lords.
Well, some of these animations are way better than just marionettes.
I'm talking Darkest Dungeons were marionetted.
Oh yeah.
Not these. No, not these at all.
But Darkest Dungeon is marionettes done very well.
Of course. Yeah, no, I'm not using that as a negative thing. I'm just kind of describing their stature and the way they were animated.
Actually, I take it back. These might be 3D models.
Are they? Oh, they are. Yeah, they are.
They are 3D models. They actually look almost as if they're 2D though. That's impressive. These are definitely 3D models. And
what I like is that I think they're taken, or they actually took. I think they are characters. I'm looking at one here: Bloody Mary, Baron Samedi, and Dracula. So it's like they've taken a lot of like folklorish type of stuff, and they're actually characters in here.
Yeah.
So
they're having a good time with horror figures.
Right.
And true horror figures.
That's awesome. I love that. And it looks like there's some sort of an overworld. Like it looks like there may be some sort of a hub town, maybe. But there's an overworld as well. I don't know how that works. I have no idea.
Well, they gotta have it. This can't be just a game of combat, because looking at the combat initially, right, it's been done before, except for they have this whole aspect of one of your party members, when their health goes down, if they get struck again, it takes away from your devil health.
Yeah.
All the way in the very top left. So, and they talk about that within the video itself. So that's unique. There's also these crystal things on the bottom, which I'm not sure what those things do. But for the most part, this is turn-based combat that we've kind of seen before. So hopefully they got more than just this. Even though it will have its own unique flair, they need to have more than just this, right? They need to have an overworld or like a base of operations where you're recruiting different horror figures, right? Give me the Mummy.
Wolfman, like
Wolfman, yeah.
Oh man, that would be so cool.
A creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
Give me.
Give me those Hollywood monsters, whatever. Yeah, I'm really digging this one. I'm really excited to see what else is going on.
They also have that devil power thing.
Yeah,
that seemed broken.
Yeah, I don't quite understand it. Like you can affect the enemy's health just by a click of a button. I don't know. I don't know what's going
your
on.
Allies. You could just be like, devil power. Nope, my allies are all full health, and all of yours are, about to die. Yep, that's right. Yep, no cheating.
I don't get it. I don't understand that. It actually says it right here. Though it is a game over if players fall, as a last resort, they can directly use. Oh, I'm sorry, that's what you read, or what you would mention. I thought it was talking about that. Like you can power to cheat the. Oh, wait a minute. Though as a game players fall, the last resort, they can directly use the devil's power to cheat via the game interface. So I think that might be what we're talking about.
Yeah, that is. Yeah,
That's
that's the devil cheating, the cheating devil
that
aspect.
has to be a drawback to using that, right?
Oh, sure. Well, hopefully there is, because otherwise the game would be broken.
Yeah, it would definitely be broken. All right. Hey, we got more horror RPG stuff going on here.
Really? There's more?
There's more, and it's tactical. Holy cow.
Oh, hey.
Tactical horror RPG Other Side will launch for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC on July 28th, Nintendo Switch version to follow. Focus Home Interactive and Lightbulb Crew have announced that tactical horror game RPG The Other Side, as I've mentioned, will launch on all those consoles and Nintendo Switch hopefully soon. And the release date announcement, they have it's a new trailer, new gameplay, where you control an army of daughters to confront the impending suffering and nightmare creatures. Have you seen this one? Heard of this one?
I actually missed this one, but I'm looking at the trailer right now. It has a few things I don't like about it.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
I like the art style. It's like black and white.
Black, white, and red.
And red. Yep.
Like Code Vein.
I would go even before that, predate that with the original black and white with red, and say Mad World.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The thing I don't like, you know me, I'm a stickler for numbers, and they got big numbers. I don't like that. Too big. They're not overly big, but they're too big.
When you say too big, you're talking the quantity, like million damage or 999 damage, that sort of stuff, right? Yeah.
The character did damage to an enemy, and it did like almost 2,000 damage. Really? Is that necessary?
It is.
Like, I understand why you do big numbers, because peeking under the hood, right? Video game engine type stuff. We're going into like coding, computer science type stuff. Floats, no one likes to deal with floats. Integers are just way better to deal with. They're easier, they're simpler,
scalable.
And they're less prone to buggy stuff.
Yep.
Bugs in general. So you don't want to make smaller numbers, especially when you're working in percentile incremental increases, like percentile, 10% more, 10% less. 10% of 1 damage is 1.1, and who wants to deal with floats when you have to deal with 1.1 damage? But if you do 10% of 100 damage, you get 110 damage. That's way better to deal with, because it's still an integer.
Right.
Sorry to get all computer sciencey.
Nerd. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I think that's a nitpick on your end. I'm gonna talk for you.
Sure. I can look. I understand if people think it's a nitpick on my end, but I think it's a design flaw when you're. It's not a design flaw. It's just a lack of extra attention and consideration into the validity of using big numbers.
Yeah.
I'm all for using big numbers if you deliberately decided to use big numbers for a good reason. I'm okay with that.
I mean, I'm watching the video. I'm seeing other attacks. I actually have it paused on one. Looks like it says the enemy is flanked, 269 HP damage. So I mean, the numbers. I mean, yes, that's a big number. We don't know where they're at in this game. We don't know what the health pool is.
There's bigger numbers, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. But I don't know. I don't put much of a. I think people love seeing those numbers, right? Like you see it in Diablo. You see it all the time. People love and eat that stuff up.
Not saying it's good in Diablo.
No,
Saying it's good.
It's in a ton of games, and part of that is, yes, it's easy to program for that. But I don't. Other than that, what do you think of it? It's almost...
the combat is just hard to get. It says tactical, and
I see the grid base, right?
Well, not always. It's like a grid around. I see a grid around like the enemy or where you end up in the combat. It's not always an everly present grid, so I don't really know how movement is going to get handled or anything like that. There's a lot of questions I have.
Yeah,
I am interested though.
well, I mean, I guess it doesn't always need to have a grid. I mean, I do see a grid on here occasionally in some of this gameplay. For example, in Divinity Original Sin 2, there is no grid. You do have a certain number of action points where you're allowed movement or whatever.
There is a grid. Divinity and Divinity 2 have grids. They're just hidden.
Okay. Not yeah. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But
well,
I mean,
look, it's not sure. It is for fact. I can explain it to you how it works because that ties into the pathfinding system.
I
like that.
So I understand. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I understand what you're saying. Yeah. Under the hood, there's a grid there. There needs to be, right?
And over what the player sees, you still see a grid, but you don't see the actual grid. You see the dots, right? But that is each of those dots are tied to the grid.
The grid, yes. But it isn't. It's not as stagnant as a grid-based system like you see. All right, enemy a square or hex, depending.
Like a tile-based grid system.
Right. Where this one looks like. Yeah. Right. This one could be something similar to that.
Yeah, it could. Like I said, there's just more questions. But the fact that you have these, what are they called, daughters or sisters? Sisters that are your party, and you're battling what looks like
daughters. Sorry.
Daughters. Okay, daughters, and you're battling stuff that's like, what's the word? Hellgate? Is it Hellgate? Not Hellgate. Hellraiser-esque weird abominations of evil and horror. Yeah, I'm down. And then you have this black, white, and red, shades of black and white along with red art style. I am very down for this. I am keeping an eye out. If it reviews well, I will get.
It looks like it could be interesting.
Yeah.
I guess we will see. Hey, guess what? We don't. There's no more horror. Sorry.
Chicken butt.
No, are you a child?
All right. You said guess what? That's what I say. Chicken butt.
I know. That's like something my 6-year-old would say.
Well, then don't say guess what.
Hey, guess what? Gestalt Steam and Cinder gets a reveal date trailer. Sold out.
Is that another horror game?
It is a. I guess you could say maybe steampunk. Maybe not steampunk. Yeah, steampunk. Sold Out and Metamorphosis Games released the debut trailer for action-adventure RPG Gestalt, Steam, and Cinder. Along with a trailer, a demo is also available via Steam as part of the Steam Game Festival, which runs until June 22nd. Drawing inspiration from a classic 16-bit and 32-bit side-scrolling title, Gestalt, Steam, and Cinder mixes 2D platforming with action combat. I played this at PAX, and it very much reminded me of Zelda 2. There's a little bit, I mean, when I say reminded me, I think that's what the dev is going for.
You mean Castlevania?
Zelda 2 did it first. Sure, Castlevania, okay?
Castlevania 2?
Zelda 2.
Which one came out first?
Oh, I don't know. Which one?
I don't know. I'm not sure which one came out first, but that would be the decider, right? Whichever one came out first.
Here we go. All right. Adventures of Link, Zelda 2, January 14th, 19... I'm going to win. I better win this one.
19 what? 19 what?
87.
87, okay. January? 87.
All right. And then we have Castlevania
2. Simon's
Quest. All right. We're doing this is great podcasting right now. What release? Do you want the Japanese release? We'll go with Japanese because it was earlier. August 28th, 1987.
Okay. A
Woohoo!
couple months later.
I
You
win!
win. You win.
That's
But-
all right.
Dude, this is totally canceled.
Yes. And it does have that mixture of 16-bit and 32-bit. Like, the backgrounds are mostly 32-bit. And maybe, like, the characters are 16-ish, maybe. I don't know. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, it looks, the artwork looks awesome.
Mhm.
It looks incredible. They did a spectacular job. This is steampunk all the way. Yeah, I can't. This is, if anyone ever said to me, like, what's your definitive steampunk looking game, it would be this.
This
like,
or
really-
SteamWorld Dig, those type of games, SteamWorld Heist.
Yeah, this looks like it plays super well. I'm wondering if it has that Metroidvania style world where it's very explorable, open world nature. If it has that, along with what we see, because it's clearly platforming.
Yep.
You got the damage numbers. Enemies have. It's weird because I see enemies with a green and red bar. So it looks like enemies might have two different meters that you have to consider. Maybe it's a stagger meter. I'm not sure what the red meter is. I'm assuming green is health.
Yeah, I don't. I did
yeah.
play it. I don't remember that.
You can level up your character. You can dump. It looks like you dump stat points into stats. There's luck, defense, dex, strength, endurance. You got damage numbers here. You got like blade attack, gun power, break rate, crit chance, crit multiplier, and resistance. There's weird rivet stuff. I don't know what that is. It looks like there might be even like abilities that you can get and stuff like that. There's upgrades. There's a map. So I'm very much thinking it's Metroidvania-esque. This looks awesome. I'm excited for this.
It looks. I actually did an interview with the developer, and I did ask that question if it was some sort of, if there were any Metroidvania type of inspirations there, and he did say yes. So I think we'll see some of that in this. So it's quite exciting. Quite I think, and it played really well. It played really, really well.
Yeah. Instantly added to my wish list. Just like that.
You can also play the demo. The demo's out.
Oh my goodness. Instantly downloaded the demo. I'm a sucker for Metroidvanias. Oh, and it even says Metroidvania.
Bingo.
Action, adventure, platformer, Metroidvania, 2D. Yeah.
Right up your alley.
Let's go.
Hey, guess what?
Let's do this.
Hey, guess what?
What's up?
Hey,
Chicken butt?
Oh, jeez. I was waiting for it. You didn't do it initially. All right, anyway, we have another new game announcement. Cyberpunk Rpg Jack Move. This one's a little bit of an interesting take, I think, on turn-based RPGs, but here we go. This is a Cyberpunk game. We're seeing a lot of those recently. Publisher Hype Train Digital and developer So Romantic will release Cyberpunk RPG Jack Move for Switch and PC via Steam in early 2021. So we're very early in this announcement, but an hour-long demo for the game, which features slums area and a dungeon, will be available for PC via Steam during the Steam Summer Festival. Again, this is a game that's like not coming out until 2021, and they have a demo. Like, this has to be like a really early, like an alpha demo, or not, can't even be beta, I wouldn't think, anyway. But it's got
combat.
Yep,
it's got environments.
Yep. It's got turn-based combat. It's got it says here, great variety of enemies, deep story, pixel art, cyberpunk, and the it's kind of hard to Can you describe this turn-based combat? Is it positional? Like, what is happening here?
It's not positional. It's kind of like Dragon or Earthbound, Dragon Quest or Earthbound style. Let's see. You got attack. You got magic attack. You got magic defense. It looks like you have dodgy bonuses. You got defense. Let's see here. So, it's got to tie into hacker stuff, right?
Yeah, the cyberpunk thing.
Cyberpunk. I think this game world takes place inside of a virtual world or whatever, and you can. It looks like you are. So, for example, you're in this main menu thing, and it shows a button on the bottom for install hardware, because you're going through your menu, and then you go into the hardware section. There's a software section. There's execute patch, so you can like patch code. And then there's jack moves. I don't know what that is. Objectives, controls, right? Those are like more generalized things that are kind of traditional that we kind of can guess what those are. But hardware, software, execute, patch. That's weird. And then on hardware, it shows like I guess you can install hardware. Is it on the character or on the machine that's running this virtual world? I have no clue, but you can like install hardware, and I guess that does stuff because they have like this. You have to worry about RAM. You have to worry about the memory that you're installing on this. What's going on? There's expansion slots, available hardware modules. This is just weird. I'm digging.
It is bonkers. So yeah, all the battles will take place in cyberspace, so you can take down your foes using a multitude of sweet hacking software. Customize the software of your cyber deck to switch roles mid-battle, balancing offense, defense, and buffs. So yeah, there is kind of a cool overworld. It's kind of like maybe there's some light puzzle elements in there. But yeah, you're right. It looks like you go in, you get into a terminal, and that's kind of where the battles are taking place. I think it looks cool.
It definitely does, and so it's not a grid based combat. It's just as we said, basic, been there, done that, Dragon Quest, Earthbound esque combat presentation. But this, I like to point out, they're doing stuff. For example, I can get that menu up again. Come on, where are you? Let's see, where was that menu? There it was. There we go. All right, so you pull up your combat menu, and what you don't see is attack, defend, item, wait, or flee. Right? You don't see those silly, pointless things. Instead, I see hack, execute, install, patch, cache, like CPU cache,
right?
Cache memory. What is this stuff? This is ridiculous. I'm down.
It's awesome.
I'm totally down.
It is awesome. So yeah, it's gonna be a while. It's gonna be a long while. 2020
selling neon games now. What is this?
2021. Wow, I love it. All right, so we'll skip that one. EA says it's bringing quite a number of games. 7 games for EA, I think, is a big deal. Especially for the kind of support that they've already given us, which is very little, I think, in my opinion. But they're bringing 7 games, and they've already announced a few. Some of which I think most of which are not RPGs. I think you had mentioned Apex Legends. They're bringing some generic FIFA game, and what else?
A legacy FIFA 21 game.
Yeah, it's garbage, is what it is.
Well, it's good for people that want to play a soccer game. A great soccer game on Switch.
No,
regardless of
don't
running on old gen hardware.
Well, the problem is it's a legacy edition because it's missing so many awesome aspects of FIFA. I actually like FIFA. I have up to FIFA 2019. So I love soccer to begin with, but it's missing a lot of the cool things that these other consoles are getting. So we're getting a lot ripped out. And essentially this feels just like a roster upgrade that they're trying.
But have you played the FIFA games on Switch?
I would never play it because it's missing so many good things in it. I just wouldn't do it. And it's also running on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 tech. Like, it's really a really older version of what FIFA is now. So it's not the FIFA that you're getting on other consoles at all. But yeah, I'm sorry. They announced Apex Legends, which actually you had mentioned. I'm not very familiar with Apex Legends. It's kind of a big deal, right?
It's a very big deal.
FIFA 21 Legacy Edition, Lost in Random. I didn't watch. Unfortunately I haven't had time to watch it. So
Is that coming to Switch?
What's that?
Lost in Random?
Lost in Random. I don't know if that's coming to the Switch.
So EA said 7 games are coming to Switch.
Yep.
We got 2. Number 3 just came out.
Burnout Paradise Remastered.
Burnout. Yep. That leaves 4 more.
Well,
within a year's time.
leaves 5, doesn't it? Oh no, we got Apex Legacy Edition of FIFA and Burnout. Okay.
What are those other 4?
Mass Effect 1, 2, 3, and Andromeda. Done.
I think Mass Effect 1, 2, 3 comes in a package. Andromeda is dead.
No. I don't want. I
3
wouldn't.
more games.
Yeah, I definitely would not want Andromeda on the Switch. Mass Effect 1, 2, 3 would be a very welcome addition. Although I wouldn't get it again because I've played those guys.
I wouldn't either.
But yeah,
it's not. Mass Effect's just not. Even though it's fantastic romp to go through, it's not a game that you want to go through again.
I feel like it was a very slow paced game. Yeah.
Well, not that it was slow, because you're always doing different things, but I guess there was a bit of filler, some unnecessary stuff to go through, and the stuff that you were going through that were pseudo filler were kind of like pointless. They didn't really have any big impact on the story.
Right. But I mean, what other properties would they bring over?
The Sims. The greatest role-playing game ever made.
I'm surprised. Honestly, I really am surprised that The Sims is not on the Switch.
Yeah. It is a they did announce Sims, by the way. I don't know if it was like an upgrade, an expansion, or just a brand new Sims game.
Oh,
okay. But they announced it during their presentation. It just said The Sims.
All right, okay, but it didn't say what consoles it was going on, or they did.
I don't remember them saying anything about
just
when, where, what it's going to be on. It just said it was just a promo for The Sims. It showed a bunch of people talking, and then it showed those people how they looked, then correlated to a Sims character.
Gotcha. Okay, I would love that actually. That's probably one of the my wife never plays games.
Yep.
And that was one of the last ones she played was with me, and maybe that will get her back in. Maybe.
Yeah, The Sims is probably the most truest RPG. True to what RPG is. I don't think there's anything that can go beyond The Sims.
The Sims. It's a simulation of real life.
It's role-playing. It's simulation and role-playing.
Yep.
The best of the best.
Well, not the best of the best, but okay, so we got The Sims.
You missed. Oh, we're still talking about EA stuff?
Yeah, we're still talking about EA. I'm not moving on. I know what you're I'm not skipping over your game, okay? I'm not skipping over your game. I just want to know what other EA games are coming. And
well, what EA games is more specifically what BioWare games I'd like to be as number, 5, 6, and 7. I would pick Dragon Age.
Yeah, okay.
Origins, not 2. Get rid of that. And not the what was that stupid one?
The stupid one? Inquisition?
Yes, that one. That's a stupid one.
That was not stupid. It wasn't.
Not that one.
Okay.
So that, and I would actually like Jade Empire.
Oh, wow.
But a remastered version of it.
Please, because it does not look that great.
And because EA is so hot and bothered with Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic.
Okay. Here's my deal with that. I don't know that game is aged well.
Remastered.
I mean, it was a great experience when we all played it like 45 years ago, whenever that was. But man, I don't know.
I recently played it on PC. By recent, I mean like maybe 3 years ago.
Okay.
So it's not that bad.
All right. Well,
It's not that bad.
I honestly don't think we're going to get any RPG support. I think it's going to be things like Need for Speed, maybe. We'll see something. I think they already announced Skate 4. Is that an EA product?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know if that's part of this.
I think it just said Skate. A new Skate game is coming.
Okay.
Was it a number?
I thought it was 4. I don't know if it was a number. But I think everyone's just assuming it's maybe Skate 4. I don't know. Maybe we'll get something like that.
Ooh, I got a great one.
Is Dead Space EA?
I was just about to say that.
Oh, okay. There you go. And that is an RPG, right?
I am with you.
Survival horror, definitely, but I don't know about.
Oh, it's definitely got RPG elements. It can definitely fall into that category. It is the space station you are exploring in a very good way, back and forth.
Yep.
Although mostly going forward, but you can definitely do some surrounded bounties. Oh, that's a good game. That is a real good game.
Yeah, I actually don't mind some of the earlier Need for Speeds. I did mention those, so I wouldn't mind those. Skate, Dead Space, the Dragon Ages. So there's some games to be had there. I don't know if they're going to be bringing some of these games up from the dead, but I mean, it's better than nothing.
Yeah. Let's see. They got the Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
Oh, okay. Yep.
It's kind of old, but
yeah. See, that's the problem. Like EA's just gonna like hand feed us like these old games. Here, it's like the trash. I don't want the trash.
They got Dante's Inferno.
I want new games, man.
That is a little trash though, right there.
Yeah. See what I mean? I don't want the scraps. Give me some of that meaty stuff.
You want new stuff, or do you want some of their back order?
I want both. I want new stuff. I want new stuff. Some of the old stuff would be nice, but
Does it have to be like new, like super new, or like Apex Legends is new? It's just not super new.
No, I mean that's fair. That's fairly new actually, but I mean, I want more.
Because EA doesn't really come out with brand new stuff. I mean, I think the only new game that they have for this year is that Star Wars Squadron game that they just announced.
Yep.
I can't really think of anything else new that EA has going for it.
Yeah. Well, they're in the sports mode.
Well, most of their games are what? Games with legs, games of service. There we go. Games as service.
Wait, games with legs?
Yeah, whatever. That's Nintendo games. Nintendo games are games with legs.
Anyway, so yeah, those are some of the games that we want for EA. Games with legs. And then we have a new Pokemon game announced for the Switch. So we had, I don't even, like a Pokemon presentation. I think that's what it was officially called. And we're set to get another one in a week's time or so, which is like a legit thing. Like there's going to be a brand new big game announcement, they said. But in this one, the only thing I think worthy was, what is it? I don't. You go ahead. I know you're dying to just say this.
All right. The full name is officially New Pokemon Snap.
Snap.
And they insert the new because this is a sequel to Pokemon Snap on the Nintendo 64.
Why don't they just call it Pokemon Snap 2 or something? The new iteration bothers me, but that's just stupid. Anyway, I'm not familiar with Pokemon Snap. I didn't grow up with Pokemon Snap. What do? You just go around taking pictures of Pokemon?
Yep, but how you take the pictures, you get rated on your photos.
Oh, okay.
So you have to find the opportune moments, and you have to kind of go out of your way to make those opportune moments, those ideal photos happen. some Pokemon won't even show themselves unless you do something like you can throw food out there to attract them, or other. That's just a basic example, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you play around with the environment. The original, you were on like, I don't know, like a minecart roller coaster type thing. You were kind of like always. It was on rails. You're always going forward. So time was of the essence when you're trying to cart your way through this environment automatically to try to snap the right photo to capture the right Pokemon, and then at the end of that cart trip, all your photos get rated and you get scored on those photos and stuff. Yep. So it's gonna have those things at a minimum that I can predict.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, it would have those things at a minimum and then some. Obviously, better graphics, more diverse Pokemon, and hopefully way more diverse interactions that you can have. And I can imagine potential like multi-pathing galore if they are going to maintain that on rails photo snapping
Right.
aspect.
I hadn't seen anything regarding that, whether you were gonna be in a 3D space, or if it was gonna be on rails, and you don't even really get that indication in the trailer either. It doesn't really get into that, and maybe we'll see more next week. Um, and we actually, or not we, you actually mentioned this a while back
Yep.
when Pokemon, I forget what it was. There was a rumor that they had something, was it new coming out, or like I don't remember exactly what it was. But
It was what was it? They were talking about hiring more for Pokemon or using the assets that they developed for the Pokemon Sword and Shield, using those assets to quickly come up with another iteration of Pokemon quickly, to like quick spin something new.
right.
And I said specifically, Pokemon Snap would be ideal for it because you don't have to necessarily introduce nuanced gameplay mechanics.
No, just animation.
It leverages the animation and the artwork and the assets. It's a game a lot about that. Yes, there's gameplay mechanics and stuff like that, but when you have the assets and the artwork done, it's the game in the franchise that could benefit the most from quickly being spun up. And maybe I said that because I have some insider knowledge.
Or
Maybe I said that because I have just awesome spidey sense. Or
or
maybe I said that because I am a genius. Or
or
I rolled the dice and I got lucky. But you all know how I feel about chance and luck.
do we though?
Yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, that's gonna be it for new game announcements. Man, and there's still more to come. Nintendo hasn't done a Nintendo Direct. I kind of feel like we're getting close to that. It is around E3 time, so there's still a lot more of those digital kind of events occurring. Um, but yeah, there's probably going to be a lot more. It is that time of year. All right, so we got some quick hit news. We got a new DLC package, free package added to Divinity Original Sin 2, kind of like their gift bag type of deal that they've been doing. This one includes 4 sets of armor, magical ancient armor sets, includes new enemies, encounters, and a new undead dragon boss, in addition to new loot and lore. So it's kind of added a little bit of story elements, new cool boss that I don't know if I'll go back and play that. I'm not entirely sure how it's going to work if I have to restart a new game. If that's the case, I will not go back. But if I can just jump in, add that, I may just take on that boss. I don't know. But
I don't know why they're adding to a game that's already so big.
yeah,
But all right.
You want to talk about unused assets? I think these guys have some of that. So I mean, maybe they're just putting some of that to use. They also had a game that Divinity Fallen Heroes, where it looked and played very similar to Divinity Original Sin 2, which I think they're kind of reutilizing and packaging to Baldur's Gate, their other project they're working on. So I think there's kind of a mix of both. So they have the Fallen Heroes, and what are they doing with it? Are they using some of those with Baldur's Gate 3? Are they using some of those with some of these DLC packages? or what, or are they just waiting on that until Baldur's Gate 3 is done? I don't know. But that is available right now. Then we had some a new, I guess you can, not a mini direct. It was kind of just an expansive look or an overview trailer for Paper Mario: The Origami King. It showed some
Yeah, I
of
think
the
it was like 5 minutes long or
yeah,
something.
so it showed us a lot of the companions. I don't know if it's all of them. I have no idea. Some of the combat information, the way that the ring is going to work, which was is it's kind of interesting. Some people are I don't know, I think on the fence still about that. It also showed off some of the bosses. I thought this was very spoilery, to be honest with you. I think I was hoping that they would hold some of this information closer to the vest, but
Nah, this is not spoiler stuff.
I don't know. They were showing big bosses, big bosses. If you're sensitive to that, we are going to go over some of those bosses. I think, in my opinion, this was the lamest thing about the whole thing. I don't mind the combat. I'm okay with trying something new like that. I have no problems with that. It does have bigger numbers than your 1,000 Year Door as far as damages are concerned. So
Slightly bigger.
yep, it has a little bit of that. I don't mind. I like the locations. I don't mind that at all. But the bosses, they just they feel like out of place. You know, I don't know if you got that impression. They just feel like out of left field. They feel really off.
What? Which boss are you talking about? Because I haven't seen it. I don't know what
You
you're talking
haven't
about.
seen what the bosses?
I've saw some things that look like they're bosses,
Well,
but it
they
doesn't
said
seem out of place at all.
they said they were bosses. So I think one of them was I'm trying to pull up exactly what it was.
Talking about the big blooper?
I'm talking about like one was a set of colored pencils. One was a rubber band man.
Oh,
The
this.
one was a tape dispenser. Like I don't know. It felt like I don't know. It just didn't seem like it fits. I think. Okay, I get
Um,
it's the paper aesthetic, the origami
yeah,
aesthetic, but I mean,
arts and crafts type stuff.
I know, but it's just I don't know. That I think that's where you may lose people is with that.
Okay, I get that argument. You know what? I'm with you. I'm with you. I am not drinking that Kool-Aid, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm putting it down. Not having it. Get rid of that stuff.
It just
Do it, Nintendo. No, don't do that.
well
Stop it. Stop it.
no, they're doing it. They are doing it. And maybe there will be other bosses. Maybe these are just the bosses they wanted to show us.
I think there's definitely going to be more traditional boss fights. I think they showed off there was like this, you're on a ship and they showed off this big giant blooper, Kraken style blooper.
Yep.
And that is probably going to be a boss battle. They showed so the combat, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ring based stuff when they're describing that, they showed your party member
A party
helping
member.
you in battle.
Yep.
Well, that's usually how it is. It's one party member in Mario, and you choose which party member you want to have. Typically, you'll choose which party member you want to have with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then they showed more in depth, just the crazy amount of flexibility you have with this ring based system. It's pretty in depth. So yeah, you can change. You choose the ring, then you swap, but then you can also flip. You can kind of take enemies and put them on the. You could slide. They call it slide, and you
Right.
can shift them to the opposite end of, like the other side of the pizza pie ring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's gonna lead to, in the fact that you're timed on it. I really like that. That's gonna lead to some like really cool
Tense
nuance,
moments.
yeah, tense puzzle solving combat mechanics. So I think it's figure out what you have to do, and then I don't know if you have to figure out what you have to do in between each attack. That might be overly excessive, or maybe it's at the start of combat. You try to orient, take the layout of the battlefield to your advantage as much as you can, and then after you've done that, you go into regular traditional Paper Mario combat.
Right. Right.
I think that's what it might be.
And who knows, maybe we'll get another in-depth or some sort of like specific direct for Paper Mario. Because honestly, this and Breath of the Wild 2 are like the only things Nintendo that I'm thinking of for this year. Am I missing anything?
We've already had quite a few big namers that released.
I'm talking from here on out.
From here on out,
For Nintendo, it's
we got this.
This and
What was the other one you said we got?
Breath of the Wild 2, maybe.
That ain't happening.
Right, maybe. Like what? Like we got like 6 more months of like possibilities, and we know nothing.
Metroid Prime trilogy.
We don't know that. We don't.
Actually, sorry. We're not getting that.
What
I know this. We are not getting it.
Oh, okay.
Because what we are getting, what I meant to say,
Metroid Prime 4.
No. We're getting the Super Metroid remake, or that it's not Metroid Dread, but a Metroid Dread.
That's not.
I'm not saying it's the Metroid Dread, but it is a Metroid Dread. It's either Super Metroid remade, completely remade, or it's a sequel to Metroid Fusion, which would make it Metroid 5.
Right. I still don't think that's enough for 6 months. And we
What? Shut your mouth.
You shut your mouth. No.
Shut your.
Like there should be more, right?
Are you kidding me?
There needs to be
remake to the greatest game ever made.
Listen, we need more from Nintendo.
Second greatest game ever made. Sorry.
They've been totally absent this year, and I understand there's a lot going on right now in the world, but we need more.
Yes, okay. I agree. Just if it's just those two, yes, we still need more. Wasn't there another game that is Pikmin 4?
We don't know about. I mean, we know nothing about Pikmin 4.
Yeah, that's true, but there are rumors. Wasn't there another? Oh yes, there is.
There was a Pikmin like
Mario, Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario 64.
Rumors, like there's nothing slated. There's nothing like
Super Mario 3D World.
We got nothing. John.
You say nothing. I'm calling out things that have been rumored heavily.
All right, we can't go based on rumors. We cannot do it. We got nothing.
These are very good rumors, though. Very good.
I can't base
Reliable.
that. I can't base it on a
because
rumor.
Paper Mario
was
part of a rumor.
Doesn't matter. It substantiates. Right. It substantiates a rumor, but it doesn't verify it.
All right, we have a partially true rumor.
Yeah, someone got lucky. Like you.
No one got
like with your Pokemon Snap.
Partially true. You know what else is going to come out this year?
What's that?
Earthbound.
No. All right, we're moving on.
What I actually mean is Mother 3.
It's not happening. All right. Just to kind of just also say about the bosses in Paper Mario. I do have it paused on a frame where there is it looks like a dragon or a water dragon boss fight. So maybe there are other bosses, like you had said, there are other bosses there, and they showed us the most hideous one. Maybe that's the possibility.
Yeah.
All right.
I hope they don't go too crazy with gimmicky boss fight battles. So I'm with you on that, because seeing some of these crayon whatever type stuff, it does look a little bit gimmicky, especially with the game board thing where you're sort of starting from the outside of the ring and working your way in.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't know, and maybe that's just like a mechanic they're using to put the world together. Do you know what I mean? So say for example, you take on these colored pencils and all of a sudden you beat them and then your world gets more colorful. Or the rubber bands, maybe that does something else. Maybe these are kind of like side bosses or optional bosses. I don't know. That's just the way my brain took that one. But anyway,
did you see the part where the audience, aka the Toads, are assisting in combat?
I did. You were very happy about that.
Oh, they're like they're all in a circle, standing in a circle outside of the ring, and they threw a whole bunch of junk all over the place, and they gave Mario health or some item, and they did damage to the paper mache stuff.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's gonna be fun. I'm definitely get it. I'm definitely gonna get it. Just I won't even wait how it reviews. It's gonna be got by me.
All right, and I will say this: if you do not like this, that doesn't mean you're off the hook for playing Thousand Year Door.
Okay, I will eventually. I have to do it.
You're still on the hook for Thousand Year Door.
Now here's the thing though. Like if that rumor is true, and say for example they are gonna do Thousand Year Door remake or remaster or bring it to Switch, I have no excuse at that point, right? I just gotta do it.
What rumor?
If there is a rumor out there.
Oh, okay. You're throwing like a 180 out.
No. I know nothing, Jon Snow. I know nothing. Okay. All right. Moving on, Ubisoft Gods and Monsters gameplay footage leaked, and apparently, this has been taken down everywhere because I cannot find. Well, I did find it. I was able to find it, but it took a lot of work to actually try and find it. Ubisoft,
and it definitely happened.
Yes, it definitely did happen. The Ubisoft's Gods and Monsters, which is coming to the Nintendo Switch, was revealed at the E3 last year, and there was understandably a lot of excitement around the announcement, as many were quick to point out the similarities between it and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. We are now way past its initial release date of February 2020, but due to Google Stadia accidentally releasing an early build of the game on its platform recently, some players got to try it out. Good old Google Stadia, thank you for joining the fight. I did get to see it. I was able to, again, you got to do some digging, because even this initial tweet that I think is what got a lot of attention, it's been copywritten, so you can't even get it there. So you got to really, really search for it. But yeah, I because of the similarities between this and Breath of the Wild is why a lot of people are interested in it. And yeah, it did look kind of cool. Kind of, I think it may be worth keeping a good eye on it. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
And I don't know when it's slated to come out. Again, like I had mentioned, February 2020 was the initial release date. Things got a little haywire, wonky. So I honestly don't even know where they're at. It says here in the article, we'll keep a close eye out for any more details about the game, like its launch date on Switch or any development progress.
Well, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna anyway in a very cryptic way. If you want to learn more about Gods and Monsters, July 12th. July 12th.
Oh,
That's the date.
That's
Pay
the date.
attention to what happens July 12th.
July 12th. What the? July 12th. Okay. July 12th, guys.
Don't worry about it. July 12th, that's the date. You'll find out more about that game.
Cool. That was very cryptic. I don't know what that means. So for a digital showcase that I kind of wanted to highlight here, New Game Plus Expo, we have a schedule that they've come out with. This is going to be coming out on June 23rd, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. The 23rd, can you remind me or tell me what day of the week that is? 23rd?
Sure, that's a Tuesday. Sorry, Tuesday.
It is a Tuesday, eh? All right, cool.
This upcoming Tuesday.
And I think we're going to see a lot for Switch support here. A lot of these companies majorly support the Switch. We have Inti Creates, Natsume, Sega / Atlas, PM Studios, and this is actually in order, okay? Idea Factory International, Gung Ho Online, NIS America, Way Forward, SNK Corporation, and Playism. And it starts at, it says 9, so maybe there's like a kind of a pre-game show type of thing. And why did you laugh at PM Studios?
No, I didn't. I laughed at Sega.
You don't think? Why'd you laugh at Sega?
It's Sega. They deserve to be laughed at.
Sega. I don't know.
How the mighty have fallen. But Atlas.
I say
Ooh.
I say it all the time. Nintendo won the console war. That's it.
No, I fully agree. But Atlas is incredible, and that's probably the one company out of this list that I'm most excited for. The
Yep.
only thing that is unfortunate is that the time slot for Sega Atlas is only a half hour. Meanwhile, you have Idea Factory, Int,
Yep.
whatever. Idea Factory has a full hour,
Mm,
and Goho America has a full hour.
right.
And Niz America, which I kind of understand, Niz does bring a lot of stuff over. They have a full hour. Way Forward, a full hour. Not sure how that happens, but they do a lot of side stuff and port work,
Right.
and license work. So they might be able to fill that up pretty good. So those 3, 4, having a full hour, 3 studio or publishers having a full hour to themselves, and Sega probably being the biggest one out of this list. Sega Atlas.
Right.
Combined, right? They're certainly the biggest, but they have a half hour.
You're right. I didn't catch that the first time. I wasn't looking at the times. But it looks like the earlier, like maybe the first half are all half-hour increments, and then it just gets, goes into about an hour increments after that. And for Sega Atlas,
It's a half hour again.
yeah, like I said, for the most part. But you're right. It goes from 3 to 3:30 with SNK and then Playism. But for Sega to have only a half hour, man, it better be an impactful half hour. Sega and
It's
Atlas.
gonna be some crappy Sonic game.
You mean that's all they have? No, they have some other stuff. Like, don't they have? I mean, they have Phantasy Star Online, right? That is a Sega product.
Yeah, well, right now it's Phantasy Star Online 2.
Right, 2.
Right? It's actually kind of fairly new-ish.
Mm-hmm.
It's been out on PC and stuff like that. What I'm more excited about is Yakuza,
Oh yeah.
because I would love to see some Yakuza games, especially the newest one, which is an RPG.
Yep, they are indeed RPGs.
On over to the Switch, and Sega has Creative Assembly and which is not, they own Creative Assembly. Creative Assembly does the Total War franchise.
Oh yeah. Which didn't we already get information on Total War, or am I thinking of something else?
I did post it. Did we not cover it?
Here?
Yeah, so we skipped this, but there is a Total War game coming to the Switch.
Huh? I skipped something?
Did I not post it? Whoops. There's a Total War game coming to Switch. Oh, sorry, not Total War. Sorry. Warhammer game coming to the Switch.
You didn't post that either.
I didn't post that either. Yes, I know. But there is a Warhammer. It's been out for PC for a bit. It's kind of like a Diablo style game. I don't think it's grid turn-based tactics. I think it's more actiony. It's what was it? Warhammer Mechanicus.
Were they showing that off at PAX?
They might have been. Let me just quickly pull up this Warhammer game, of which there are so many, and hopefully I get the right one.
Yeah, good luck with that one. Yeah,
got it.
Well, hey, holy cow!
Yeah, that was quick, right? So it is going to be sort of what probably Kill Team, if people are familiar with Warhammer Kill Team. This game probably plays closer to that. It's going to be turn-based, tactical. I don't know if it's grids or not. Yes, it is grids. I can confirm it is grids. You got some sort of initiative order sequencing of stuff. You have like a little squad. You're going up against an enemy squad. It's going to be a very nice Warhammer-esque RPG tactical combat experience.
What was the name of the game you cut out there?
Warhammer Mechanicus.
Oh, Mechanicus.
Warhammer 40K : Mechanicus.
Oh, and you're right. There are like a billion of those Warhammer games.
Yeah, there's a lot of Warhammer. Warhammer's huge.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're right. It'll probably just be like 1 or 2 Sonic games, and that'll be it.
And what I was going to say is, hopefully it's a Creative Assembly game. Probably Total War series, and if it's Total War, hopefully, fingers crossed, it's Warhammer. Total War Warhammer. Or
Total
is it
War.
Warhammer Total War?
I think it's Total War Warhammer, but
Yeah. The second one, sequel.
the DOS.
DOS. Probably not going to be it.
No, probably not. Probably not. But yeah, that's coming. Is it next? Yeah, next week.
Tuesday.
In 3 days. Nice. All right.
3 days.
3 days. Yeah.
4 days.
It's coming in a few days. All right. AT&T. All right. You guys are probably like AT&T. Like what? What the heck are you talking about? AT&T is discussing a potential sale of its Warner Brothers gaming division for about $4. Sorry, $4 billion. That's a lot of money, yeah. But I think you've mentioned to me off air that there have been certain game franchises that have gone for about that. So considering
Singular game franchise.
yeah. For example, you mentioned Minecraft. I don't know. I'd have to actually look that up to confirm. But
Mojang Studio got sold for right around 4 billion. I think it was like 2 billion in cash and 2 billion in stocks, or it could be 4 billion cash, 4 billion in stocks to the owner.
What game was this?
Mojang Studios,
Oh,
and
okay.
the only thing they had was Minecraft.
Yeah, right.
That's their only game. So Minecraft sold for 4 billion, and that was 5 years ago, give or take.
Right.
Right around 5, maybe longer than that. Maybe that was like 8 years ago. It's been a while. And now we're up to today, so inflation, stuff like that. And we have a studio that's responsible for multiple franchises only selling for 4 billion. So it's, yes, 4 billion's a lot, but it kind of shows you that 4 billion for a studio or collection of studios that's been responsible for some of the greatest games of all time, or some of the biggest, best games of the year, right? Like the Batman franchise, the Shadows of Mordor, Shadows of War, etc.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised about this. So far, EA, Take-Two, and Activision have all expressed interest in buying the division at this time. A deal is not assured or imminent. According to CNBC, the deal might involve a commercial licensing agreement where AT&T can continue to get revenue from its IP.
What IP? What?
That's what it says in the article.
I see that, but what IP?
I'm guessing the Warner Brothers is the Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment is the intellectual property.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think the only thing that Warner Brothers has is the Lord of the Rings. There might be some other smaller stuff, but I think that's probably the biggest thing that they might own. They certainly don't own the Batman franchise.
No, I don't think they do. I don't know.
It's interesting. Of the companies, EA, Take-Two, and Activision, which of those three would you want them to be the gobbler of the goods?
Not EA. I have so much disdain for EA. I'm sorry. I just do.
I would rather EA get it than Activision.
Why?
Because at least EA, every now and then, reluctantly does the right stuff because they were doing evil stuff for so long. Whereas Activision always does the evil stuff, and they get worse and worse and worse.
When Battlefront 2 came out like 3 years ago, and that had terrible stuff in it.
And EA reluctantly put their tails behind their legs and cleaned up house and I don't know what the word is, but they fixed their folly. They kind of made good.
After many people, that game was about to bomb. I don't know if it's considered a success at all.
Meanwhile, you have Activision, who's responsible for destroying one of the most beloved video game publisher developers of all time.
You're talking about
they destroyed Blizzard.
Yeah.
Blizzard is a laughingstock now. They are just. I used to be a huge. Blizzard was my number one or number two. I think Nintendo being my number one, and Blizzard was my number two favorite developer. Period.
Yep.
Until this merger, and it's just been a downward spiral.
Yeah. I could see where you were not like that. But Blizzard, I mean, they gotta like take accountability for their own shortcomings here, right? Like you can't
company.
I know, but you can't just all blame it on the acquisition of Activision. Is it?
Look. Oh well, yes, I can, and I did, and I will. Right. It was so bad that the CEO, the owner of Blizzard, he stepped down like 2 years ago.
He was embarrassed. They got embarrassed because of they held this giant event, right? For essentially what is become a mobile game, or is a mobile.
Before that.
Oh, he did step on before that. He probably knew it was coming to him.
Oh, he knew. He was probably fighting tooth and nail to like keep the Blizzard that everyone loved still intact, and Activision, the Activision group, the business people of Activision just like wore him down over the years. It was Mike Morhaime.
Okay, yeah, right? Yeah.
Wore him down, and that's it.
So why are you taking the two evil companies and just kind of looking over Take-Two? Like, why are you okay? I know, that's what I mean. Why would you want EA and their evil doings and kind of
I'm thinking Take-Two.
Oh, okay. I thought you were Take-Two. Okay.
But then after that, if Take-Two doesn't get it, I hope EA gets it over Activision.
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know about that one either. If Take-Two can't have it, nobody can have it. That's it.
Activision did the whole you wait in a lobby to start your next game of Call of Duty. Other people are in that same lobby. They buy a loot box. It shows up, and you get to witness them open up all the goodies in that loot box. You die in Call of Duty. It shows you the gear, the bought gear of the person was using in order to kill you, right? Like, come on, that is some dirty tactics.
Of course it is. I don't want either one of those companies involved in there. Like, I don't know. They're all terrible.
They're all dirty.
Except for Take-Two. Take-Two is a little better. Or a lot better, actually.
It has got so much bad rap that they have stepped so far back into doing the loot boxy stuff.
Yep.
That maybe they're just too afraid to do it ever again. Hopefully,
they did it to 2 games back to back. They did it with Battlefront and then Battlefront 2, didn't they?
More than just they've done it. They've been doing it for all their sports games.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah.
In a very bad way, but you know.
Keep EA and their dirty money grungy tactics away from any games. I'm sorry.
Oh, Activision Blizzard is very money hungry. They're just as greedy as EA and potentially worse. And then you also have the whole fiasco of Activision Blizzard doing first off the mobile Diablo stuff, and then the whole China free Hong Kong thing.
Yep.
Right, so yeah.
So keep them both away.
They're under the control of big money China.
Yep. I don't want any one of those companies except for Take-Two. Keep them both away.
You know what would be great?
What would be great?
Nintendo got them.
Oh.
It would never happen.
It would never happen. Yeah, why isn't Nintendo's name getting thrown in there?
I mean, honestly, if these 3 companies weren't named, I would have guessed Microsoft.
That actually would be a very smart decision for Microsoft to get exclusives like Batman and the Lord of the Rings. To get those exclusives would be phenomenal. Where, you know, PlayStation or Sony has Spider-Man, you know, while we have Batman.
Yeah, Batman's the best of the DC properties. You know, I think Mortal Kombat might be Warner Brothers.
Is it?
The people who make Mortal Kombat. because they do DC,
They
the
do,
DC fighting game.
right.
I forgot what it's called.
Hmm.
They've also, I think, the newest Mortal Kombat got like the Joker in there or something like that.
You're right. They do have some DC characters there. I'm trying to look here. Designer developers. Obviously, they're not a developer. They would be under maybe publisher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they own Mortal Kombat.
Okay. Well,
Warner Brothers.
I don't
Owns, let's see.
I don't think that. Yeah, I do see it here. Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment. I don't. That wouldn't be a great idea. Maybe for them to go full exclusive with a Mortal Kombat game, but why not the other ones, right? So there may be Tomb Raider games. I'm kind of looking at all the lists now. It's actually
They don't own Tomb Raider.
no. Maybe
That's
they
Square Enix.
maybe they used to. Maybe they used to. Okay.
I'm pretty sure Square. I think Square owns Tomb Raider.
Yeah, Square Enix eventually took over the company. Yeah, it is Square.
Yep.
But yeah, you got the Batman, you got the Lord of the Rings, you got the Mortal Kombat.
They've got other stuff, but
Yeah, right.
So it'll be interesting to see. We'll see what happens.
Fear, the Fear series, Injustice, some of the Lego games.
Oh, the Lego game. That's a big deal.
Yep.
A lot of those, almost all of them are on the Switch.
Yep.
Or the notable ones, at least.
Yeah, so it's Batman, Fear, Injustice, Lego, Middle Earth, Mortal Kombat, and Scribblenauts.
Scribblenauts, I think every iteration except for the mobile one came to Switch. Or not Switch, but Nintendo platforms.
Nintendo platforms, yeah. I don't know. Microsoft would be a good place for it. Microsoft and Nintendo play well together, so I mean, just because Microsoft owns it does not mean it needs to be exclusive to them.
Yep.
But yeah, you had put this one in here: Shadow Man Remastered debut trailer. What?
Yep.
What am I looking at here?
It's coming back. Shadow Man, a game that released way back in 1999 for the N64, Dreamcast, PC, and I think PlayStation, is being remastered. You know, improved visuals and better lighting, some anti-aliasing, and other little minor bells and whistle updates so it doesn't look completely ugly. It's coming to the Switch and to other platforms, and that's cool because this was actually a really good game. It's somewhere scored somewhere in the eights, so it's a great game, and it was weird and quirky. I can't remember if I played it or not, or I just paid attention to it because this is going back 21 years ago, so I it's hard to remember back then. I might have played it temporarily on the Nintendo 64, but it had Metroidvania-esque elements. It's a horror game. You could improve your health. You could eventually expand your health. You could cast spells of sorts via the voodoo skull thing. You could also have you could shoot different weapons. Everything was very like horror-esque. It was very Hellraiser-ish.
Mm-hmm.
You're going through a labyrinth of environments. From what I remember, a lot of it was indoors, but there might have been some outdoor environments as well. So it's just an interesting kind of blast from the past that they are remaking, and this is not a. Oh, and it happens to be the people that handle the Turok remasters are doing this. So
Okay.
Night Dive Studios.
Yep.
So that's cool to hear, and this is actually kind of funny because it's another Turok, right? The original Turok games coming from the N64, and now they're remastering Shadow Man 64 or Shadow Man, which was on the 64. So they're remastering it, bringing it over because this is a game that definitely did not get enough people to play it initially. So
I don't know, man. I don't know if this one's for me. But as you can clearly see from the newly released trailer, please watch the trailer. They've cleaned up edges. They've cleaned up around the edges and added improved shadow mapping per pixel, lighting, anti-aliasing, and missing content that was cut off from the original game. This version looks like it was based off the later released Dreamcast version of Shadow Man. A release date hasn't been announced, but it has been confirmed for the Nintendo Switch.
And way better lighting. Like the lighting is they have actual casted shadows, and they have lots of magical effects all over the place. There's some fights that you can see in the trailer where there's just like magic spells going on like crazy, whether it be from you or from the enemy as well. So it's just there's 3D platforming. It looks like it handles pretty smoothly too. So it looks dated,
It,
right?
I think that's my biggest issue with it. It just
Yeah.
looks dated.
It looks it, but once again, it's always how it plays. I've seen modern new indie games look worse than this.
Yep.
Definitely look way worse than this. So it's all about how it plays, and it originally played well enough to score in the mid to upper 80s. So definitely pay attention.
All right. I don't know if I'm going to pay attention to it, but that's just me. All right. New trademark that Square Enix filed. It's Sabarashiki Kono Sekai. Do you know what that means?
The world ends with you.
Yes, so new trademark. Sorry, I put you on the spot there. Probably my Japanese isn't quite what it used to be. But the new trademark Square Enix filed for The World Ends With You in Japan on June 1st has gone public today. So does this mean we get a new one?
Yes.
Yes. Moving on. So, yeah. Cool.
It means that they already brought The World's Ends With You to the Switch.
Yep.
Which means they already had to have somewhat recently renewed their trademark.
Yeah.
Right? So the fact that they're renewing it again, this is in preparation for a sequel, because guess what? A lot of people want a sequel to this game, including me.
Mm-hmm.
I love the original game on DS. Absolutely incredible. So yeah, this is definitely bringing back this right here. This is a better RPG than Persona.
Okay.
This is the high schooler in Japan RPG experience that I think is way more worthwhile than what Persona tried pulling off.
Right.
Persona 5 specifically.
Now, the thing of it is, though, the remake, I guess, that they made for the Switch, the ultimate or the best way to play that is on the DS.
Yeah.
I think it was you that had said that. So maybe getting a game from the ground up that's meant to be played on the Switch is a better way.
Yeah, it would be interesting because they would have to change the combat system dramatically because it was entirely touch control on the DS. So, and that's fine. If they change it up, that's cool. If they keep the weird Pog badge, whatever button, I think it was Pogs. I forgot what it was. It was like little circular discs that you can equip, and then you kind of like you can push them up against others and stuff like that. It was weird and quirky. It was cool. The best part about the game, or one of the best parts about the game, is the clothing system. You could change your clothes, and depending on the brand of your clothes, that had an impact on different aspects of the game, both combat wise, outside of combat, and you could just like part of increasing your stats was you'd go to like a store and order a hamburger and french fries and eat that, and that would increase your stats in certain ways, permanently increase your stats in certain ways. It was just cool and quirky.
Yeah, that is
weird.
Yeah, it's like got a lot of different like things. That's pretty cool.
It was all in Shibuya, so you're like in like Shibuya, Japan, Tokyo, and just doing like cool young adult teenager type stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, looking forward to whatever they may have going. Maybe we'll hear something in a Nintendo Direct soon. But that's going to do it for the news. We have some upcoming RPGs coming up. This seems like they're all on the same day. June 25th, Tower of Time. Tower of Time is a tactical RPG. We will be covering it on our site. I think that's also getting released on the Xbox as well. I'm not sure about PC. No, it is also on PC. I don't know about PlayStation. But Tower of Time is a really cool game. Midden Tower is another Kemco creation. Just leave it at that. If you're familiar with Kemco, you're familiar with this game. Grimshade is another game on the 25th. Let me open this up. 1 second.
Oh.
Grimshade is a tactical strategy RPG with it's got turn-based elements. I'm kind of digging the art style here.
I don't know if it's tactical though.
Okay, maybe it's just strategy then.
No, I don't think it's tactical or strategy to the label sense. I'm certain there's tactics and strategy involved, but I don't see. Typically, when you think tactical or strategy, you assume that there's positioning involved, and I don't know if that's a thing. Like movement and positioning, not just positioning, but movement.
Right. I just by the description, complex tactical turn-based battles, a variety of elaborate enemies won't let you complete the whole game using a single tactic or invincible team build. Choose wisely the squad you take in a fight. Proper positioning and awareness are essential to your success struggling against powerful foes. So that's just one of the bullet points that they have in their key features.
Well, they said proper positioning, so yeah, perhaps it is tactical.
Yeah. But
I'm just looking at the screenshot, so I couldn't confirm whether there was a
you can't,
grid or of some sort.
Yeah, you really can't tell from the screenshots. But I don't know. Take a look at it. It does look like it's got a cell shaded animated design.
It looks good. The art style looks good. I like it.
Yeah. So that is coming out on the 25th of June. I
think that's one to pay attention to. That one could be a good one.
Yeah, I think Tower Time might be as well.
Yep.
But I've only played it for the 360 and I actually enjoyed it. So The Forgotten Lands is another game coming out on the 25th. That is a kind of a gem puzzly type of RPG. If you've played Gems of War, if you're familiar with that, this is kind of in that same ballpark.
How is this an RPG?
You haven't played Gems of War, have you?
Is there a story?
Yes, in Gems of War there is a story.
Is there a world to explore?
There is a world to explore in Gems of War.
An actual world.
An actual world. And it's free to play, Johnny. Gems of War. All right.
So are there NPCs? Are there quests?
Yep. Look it up, Johnny.
I think you're just saying that.
I am.
That's what I thought. This looks like a puzzle game. I don't see any RPG.
No. Gems of War is very much an RPG. Honestly, you won't know it until you play it. I'd have to look it up to bring up specific aspects.
I'll do some homework after.
I'm not doing the homework for you, Johnny. You got to do your own homework sometimes.
I'll do the homework. This will be my homework.
All right. Then we have Brigandine, The Legend of Runersia. We've talked about that quite a number of times here. Very much a tactical strategy RPG. In the same realm as Fire Emblem, maybe? Except hex-based. I don't think Fire Emblem ever was
Fire Emblem never did hex. This one is hex. So yeah, it's closer to Fire Emblem. There's you do get options for abilities to use different ways of attacking or engaging in enemies. So there is some nuances there. So it is interesting. It's definitely high budget. I mentioned before that there is some translation stuff, like grammar issues and stuff like that. But what I will say, so before I was kind of like on the fence a little bit. It seemed like it could be really good, but had weird quirkiness and stuff like that. I will say that Famitsu reviewed it, and I believe they reviewed it pretty well. Brig ending. All right, so just pulling up the Famitsu scores. They gave it an 8, an 8, an 8, and a 9.
So an 8.25.
8.25, so 8.25.
Yeah, pretty good.
So yeah, that is pretty good. So Brigadine, The Legend of Runercia. Perhaps wait for more reviews to come out, but it's already, according to Famitsu, it's already in the greatness area.
And I don't know where. I think for a game, and maybe I'm just stuck in my bubble. I've never heard of. I don't know if this is a series or not. I think $50 may be a big ask for it. I don't know if that. I don't want to see something like a price like that hold it back at all. But
I'm with you. It could be a big ask, but this is the kind of game that plays like, and I mentioned this before. It plays like Dragon Force.
yeah, you did mention that. Yep.
It doesn't play exactly. It's like kind of like taking Dragon Force, the metagame of Dragon Force, and the combat battle maps of Fire Emblem to different. But if you just merge those two together, that's kind of what this game's more like.
Yeah.
A combination of those two.
A few things I neglected to mention. Tower of Time, $24.99. Midden Tower, Kemco game, $15 US dollars. All these are US dollars. Grimshade, $24.99. Brigandine, as I mentioned, $50 hairs. And then we have our last one for the week, June 26th at $20. We're looking at Yes, Your Grace. I know that you have some experience with Yes, Your Grace.
Yep. Yep, I played the demo.
$20.
Or the beta.
$20. What are we looking at? Worth it?
Ooh, $20. Sure. I think $20 is fine for it, but I never finished it, or I didn't even come close to finish it. It was definitely building up towards something bigger storyline wise, and it's a game about making decisions. You're making lots of decisions. You can walk around your castle, interact. So that's the most of the storyline element stuff is how the various NPCs that you're interacting with, whether it be the queen, your wife, your daughters. You have multiple daughters, so you're interacting with them and talking to them about because they're going through different phases of their lives. So one's a teenager, one is sort of preteen, another one is still a child. You get prisoners of war, and then you can sit at your throne and you start taking in an audience of your what's the word? Your subjects.
Okay.
I think it's called right. So your subjects start to see you, and they have like different complaints. They'll say, oh, or even nobility will see you and stuff like that, and they'll ask like, oh, we think this thing's happening, or my tooth fell out of my mouth. Can you give me some money? They didn't say that. I'm just
right.
saying that.
Just a weird example.
Yeah, I know. But they'll start doing that, and you have to make yes or no decisions, and you're basing those yes or no decisions, like yes, you'll help them, no, you won't. But you have to base that on, for example, they'll ask, give me some money, and now you have to double check with your available resources, and that if there's more people in line waiting, that some of them are probably going to ask for resources as well. So if you say yes to that person, it could lead to having to say no to another person later on.
Right.
And all of these yes or no decisions will have an effect as you continue to play through the game, because you'll find out what the results of those decisions are, whether they be good or bad. You'll find out what the ramifications are as you continue to play. So it's interesting. It's a very different style of game, but in a good way.
Yeah. You're kind of the yes man. You're the decision maker. You're the top dog. You're the king.
You're the king. Yep.
Cool. That is going to wrap up today's episode.
Woo!
Woo! Thank you so much for listening. And remember, you can listen to the show each and every week at switchrpg.com, or you can subscribe on your favorite podcast app. If you listen on an app, please give us a rating and review. We want to climb up those charts on those platforms. So your support there would be amazing. And finally, remember, you can head over to switchrpg.com for all your RPG needs on the Nintendo Switch. Until next time, see you later.